Chapter 1160. Yi Chen's guess was right. A mid-level Heavenly King set would not be able to block a full power strike from the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor, and would definitely be torn apart. The Skeleton Ocean Emperor's mid-level Heavenly King set had a claw mark on it. Run! In that instant, the sword domain was pushed to the limit, and Yi Chen's speed increased rapidly. Roar! The Fire Crystal Beast Emperor suddenly opened its mouth, shooting a golden-red beam of light at Yi Chen, who was following behind the Skeleton Ocean Emperor. Rumble, along the way, any obstacle was pierced through. In the next moment, 3 fire crystal beasts that were lined up in a line exploded, turning into pools of fiery red liquid. Yi Chen secretly wiped the sweat off his forehead, still feeling a lingering fear. Just now, he had felt an unprecedented danger, and subconsciously rushed in front of the 3 fire crystal beasts. As expected, the 3 fire crystal beasts had died instantly. If not for the 3 fire crystal beasts blocking him, Yi Chen was sure that he would not have been any better off than his opponents, and would have been annihilated. Compared to combat power, Yi Chen's greatest weakness was his defense. Defense was related to cultivation level and defensive artifact. If one's cultivation level was low, their defense would naturally be low, and if their defensive artifacts were low-grade, their defense would also be low. With the two combined, Yi Chen's defense was much weaker than the Skeleton Ocean Emperor's, at least dozens of times weaker. This was also with the existence of the Sword Intent Shield, otherwise the difference would be at least 100 or 200 times. Escaping also requires a strategy. Hopefully, my luck will be better. Not every life or death crisis could be turned around. The terrifying attack power of the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor had caused Yi Chen to lose all hope. After all, he couldn't possibly increase his defense by dozens or even hundreds of times in a critical moment. That was impossible. With an idea in mind, Yi Chen flew towards the area where there were a few fire crystal beasts. If there were too many of them, they would become obstacles, and if there were too few, it would not be enough to block the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor. Only when there were a few of them could they become Yi Chen's shield and fight for a chance of survival. Brat, I can't believe you would have such a moment. Skeleton Ocean Emperor was faster than Yi Chen, and with Yi Chen behind him, he was much more relaxed. He suddenly stabbed at Yi Chen with his spear, causing spear images to shoot out. Damn it! Yi Chen didn't dare to face the Skeleton Sea Emperor head-on. If he did, his speed would definitely decrease sharply. Swoosh! Yi Chen's figure refracted and slightly shifted his direction, dodging the spear's shadow attack. Whoosh! 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 Skeleton Ocean Emperor continued to attack Yi Chen. This can't go on. Although he dodged the Skeleton Ocean Emperor's attacks again and again, Yi Chen's speed was still affected. The Fire Crystal Emperor was getting closer and closer to him. I need to increase my speed. After thinking about it, Yi Chen could only think of one way, and that was to increase his speed. If he was fast enough, he would be able to maintain a certain distance from the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor. There was no other way. Boom! The 4 fire crystal beasts were melted into liquid by the golden red light. A few drops of liquid splashed on Yi Chen's protective Jin Yuan, creating a sizzling sound. I can only comprehend the space profound. Yi Chen gritted his teeth and decided to walk the path of comprehending the space profound. Yi Chen had comprehended 80% of the space profound a long time ago, and he only needed an opportunity to reach 90%. God Paradise didn't have the space profound tower, so he could only rely on himself. Getting rid of all distracting thoughts, Yi Chen entered the ethereal state. Of course, although he had entered the ethereal state, it didn't mean that Yi Chen had lost his vigilance against danger. Any attack would cause a space ripple, which would transmit to Yi Chen's body. Yi Chen's body would react instinctively. This was an ability that could only be obtained after comprehending 80% of the space profound. If it was only 70%, then it would be much weaker, and Yi Chen wouldn't take the risk to comprehend it in such a dangerous situation. What's going on? After several attacks, Yi Chen had dodged them all. The skeleton Ocean Emperor could tell that something was wrong. It seemed that no matter how he attacked, there wouldn't be much of an effect, unless he could get close to the ladder and launch an attack that the ladder couldn't dodge. Forget it, the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor will catch up to him soon. With him here, I won't be in any danger. The skeleton Ocean Emperor gave up on attacking Yi Chen and focused on escaping. The Fire Crystal Beast Emperor attacked Yi Chen tirelessly. It opened its mouth and shot out a golden red light beam. The aura of this light beam was a bit like chi power, but it was very advanced. It seemed to be the combination of chi power and fire power. 300 miles, 280 miles, 250 miles, 220 miles. The distance between the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor and Yi Chen was getting shorter and shorter. The golden red light beam's power was also getting stronger. Sometimes there would be a trace of aftershock that would hit Yi Chen's body, causing Yi Chen's escape route to change. Yi Chen didn't have any distracting thoughts in his mind. He was completely immersed in comprehending space profound. His eyes looked empty, but they were actually flickering with countless sparks of wisdom. In his eyes, many spatial nodes appeared, and between them were spatial trajectories. Spatial trajectories weren't static and could change at any time. However, with 80% of the space profound, Yi Chen had already grasped some of the rules of spatial trajectories. Everything had rules. If there wasn't a rule, then there was no order, which represented chaos. There was no concept of space, no concept of time, no concept of yin and yang, no light and darkness, and no 5 elements. Obviously, this was an orderly world, so there had to be rules. 80% of the space profound allowed Yi Chen to grasp some rules, but it wasn't enough for him to reach the speed of light in space. He had to grasp more rules. If his space profound could be perfected, teleportation would be easy. That was because the perfected space profound could allow him to understand the rules of spatial trajectories. Forgetting the existence of time, forgetting the existence of danger, and not knowing how much time had passed, Yi Chen's mind gained a new understanding. This understanding was like a spark on a prairie. Once it formed a climate, it would be enough to sweep the entire prairie. The barren planet was huge, with a diameter of tens of millions of miles. Flying inside the barren planet, there were many obstacles, and the speed wasn't even 1/10,000th of the speed in space. Even so, Yi Chen was gradually approaching the core of the barren planet. Boom, boom, boom. The battle between the Dark Dragon Emperor and the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor was shocking. Explosions rang out everywhere, and the surroundings were completely destroyed, forming a huge spherical space. In the center of the spherical space, the Dark Dragon Emperor and the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor were constantly fighting. Powerful indeed. The Dark Dragon Emperor stared at the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor. Its attacks were very strong. If he wasn't wearing top-tier Emperor armor, he would have been injured long ago. Especially the golden red pillar of light that the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor shot out. Even through the top-tier Emperor armor, the Dark Dragon Emperor could feel waves of heat passing into his body. But you don't feel good either. The Dark Dragon Emperor was wearing a pair of black and gold steel gloves. These steel gloves were called the Skyrending Gloves, a low-tier Emperor weapon. With his rank as a 5-star general, he didn't have the right to buy low-tier Emperor weapons. Low-tier Emperor weapons seemed to be the weakest among Emperor weapons, but they were still 10 or 20 times stronger than top-tier Emperor weapons. The Skyrending Gloves were obtained in a secret territory, and he viewed them as his most precious treasure. Without them, he would be an ordinary 5-star general. Following the Dark Dragon Emperor's gaze, one could see that there were many claw marks on the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor's body. The claw marks were difficult to heal, and they contained the power of an Emperor weapon. Roar! The Fire Crystal Beast Emperor growled. Its blood-gold eyes were full of murderous intent. It was more intelligent than ordinary fire crystal beasts and fire crystal beast kings. It understood that with its strength, it couldn't do anything to the Dark Dragon Emperor in a short time. The Dark Dragon Emperor's defense was stronger than its own, and it was practically indestructible. However, it wasn't in a hurry. Its power could be said to be endless, and Barren Planet was its home. The Dark Dragon Emperor's power would be depleted sooner or later. It wanted to exhaust the Dark Dragon Emperor to death. Just like the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor, the Dark Dragon Emperor also wanted to exhaust the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor to death. The Dark Dragon Emperor's demonic body had already reached the 7th level. Ordinary high-level fire crystals were useless to him. Only the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor's body was useful to him. If he could kill the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor and take its more precious parts, he might be able to upgrade his demonic body from the early 7th level to the middle 7th level. After all, the demonic body and spirit body were harder to upgrade, and the treasures needed were more precious. It was rare to encounter a Fire Crystal Beast Emperor, so the Dark Dragon Emperor wouldn't let it go. Unfortunately, the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor wasn't completely made of fire crystals. It was a mixture of many different materials, and only the most essential parts seemed to be top-level fire crystals. Top-level fire crystals were very rare, and could be used to refine a 7th-level spirit body. Of course, if the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor was completely made of fire crystals, the Dark Dragon Emperor probably wouldn't be its opponent. 150 miles. 120 miles. 100 miles. The distance between the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor and Yi Chen was only 100 miles. If this distance was in a vacuum, it wouldn't be anything. Even inside the desolate planet, it would only take 1 or 2 breaths. Boom. In such a short distance, the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor's golden red light pillar's power increased exponentially. 3 or 4 normal fire crystal beasts couldn't be used as a shield anymore, and were directly evaporated into a fiery red mist. The shockwave hit Yi Chen's body, almost breaking Yi Chen's protective Jin Yuan. 80 miles. 70 miles. 50 miles. Finally, the distance between the two was only 50 miles. This time, the golden red light pillar was unstoppable. It looked like Yi Chen was about to be hit. Success! Yi Chen shuddered, and his speed increased drastically. The golden red light pillar brushed past his lower body. Boom! A huge lava tunnel was blasted into nothingness, turning into a black-red liquid. So close! Yi Chen was both surprised and happy. Shocked because he almost died, but happy because his space profound had reached 90% completion. This meant that his speed in vacuum could reach light speed, which was not inferior to Skeleton Ocean Emperor's. However, Yi Chen could feel that his light speed was different from Skeleton Ocean Emperor's. Skeleton Ocean Emperor's light speed wasn't very agile, but Yi Chen, who had comprehended 90% of space profound, was not only fast, but also incomparably agile. He could change his direction at any time, just like a favored child of space. Whoosh! Whoosh! Flickering, Yi Chen easily dodged the golden red light pillar. Chapter 1161. 90% complete space profound is already like this. I wonder how amazing the perfected space profound will be. Yi Chen knew very well that the reason he could comprehend the space profound to 90% complete was because of his many years of accumulation. Now that he was in danger, his many years of accumulation finally turned into results. This monarch of the Yiksha race wants to use the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor to kill me. Unfortunately, the pressure of life and death has allowed me to reach a higher level. However, I will not let him off. Changing direction, Yi Chen flew toward the Skeleton Ocean Arch. Along the way, Yi Chen encountered many fire crystal beasts, and they were very frightening. To be honest, Yi Chen did not have much confidence in leaving this planet. His only chance was with the Skeleton Ocean Arch. What? He is catching up? The Skeleton Ocean Arch was shocked when he sensed Yi Chen's presence. He thought that Yi Chen had already been killed by the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor. This is not right. Why is his speed faster than mine? When the distance between the two shortened, the skeleton ocean Thearcha's face darkened. In a short while, the skeleton ocean Tharch saw through it. Yi Chen's speed was not faster than his, but it was not inferior either. Yi Chen's movements were extremely nimble. Encountering the obstruction of the fire crystal beasts, he flickered through them. This undoubtedly saved him a lot of time, making his speed seem extremely fast, even surpassing his illusion. Even so, Skeleton Ocean Emperor was not feeling good. He was so depressed that he wanted to kill someone. Can you tell me your title? Yi Chen's voice transmitted over. I am the Skeleton Ocean Tharch. Don't be too arrogant, the Skeleton Ocean Tharch said coldly. Skeleton Ocean Tharch? Alright, today will be the day you die. Just you? The Skeleton Ocean Thearcha's tone was disdainful. Not just me, but me and that fire crystal beast. Yi Chen already had a plan to kill the Skeleton Ocean Tharch. Wait until you catch up to me. This is easy. As he spoke, Yi Chen suddenly slashed out with his sword towards a fire crystal beast king in front of the Skeleton Ocean Emperor. Hong Long, the fire crystal beast king, was sent flying, and the sword gash was several meters deep. A massive shock wave exploded, hitting the Skeleton Ocean Emperor and causing it to slow down significantly. Not good. The Skeleton Ocean Emperor understood Yi Chen's intentions. Kid, have a taste of my killer move. Skeleton Sea Emperor forcefully broke through the shockwave and recovered slowly. At the same time, he wielded his spear and attacked Yi Chen with a killer move. Crackle! The spear shadows overlapped one another, covering Yi Chen like a tidal wave. The attack range was quite wide. Break! Raising the dragon spring sword with both of his hands, Yi Chen launched a sword hack. A dazzling beam of black sword chi instantly evaporated a large number of spears. Swoosh! Yi Chen darted through the gap between the spears. Just like this, the Skeleton Ocean Emperor and Yi Chen attacked each other, while the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor followed closely behind them, occasionally shooting golden red light beams. The scene was chaotic. With his understanding of space, Yi Chen gradually caught up to the Skeleton Ocean Emperor. The Skeleton Ocean Emperor was a little anxious. He hurriedly said, "If we continue fighting, it will only benefit that Fire Crystal Beast Emperor. Why don't we both take a step back and stop here?" "Don't worry, I can afford to play." How could Yi Chen let him go? "Do you really want to fight to the death?" The Skeleton Ocean Emperor shouted. "The fish might die, but the net might not break." As he spoke, Yi Chen had already surpassed the Skeleton Ocean Emperor. His body spun in the air as Yi Chen slashed at the Skeleton Ocean Emperor like a spinning top or a tornado. Yi Chen's attack speed was too fast. The Skeleton Ocean Emperor quickly raised his spear. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere as the two separated. Yi Chen borrowed the force to fly backward. Since he was facing the Skeleton Ocean Emperor, flying backward was no different from moving forward. The next moment, Yi Chen nimbly turned around and continued on his way. On the other hand, the Skeleton Ocean Emperor was forced back several hundred meters by Yi Chen's sword, falling into a group of fire crystal beasts. Get lost! The Skeleton Ocean Emperor was furious as he crazily waved his spear, sweeping everywhere. When the Skeleton Ocean Emperor broke out of the encirclement, the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor was already less than 50 li away. Boom! A golden red light beam shot toward him with irresistible force. His scalp tingling, the Skeleton Ocean Emperor's blue wings flapped fiercely, barely dodging the light beam. However, even if he could dodge once, he couldn't dodge forever. The ninth golden red light beam bombarded the Skeleton Ocean Emperor's back, tearing a huge hole in his protective Zhen Yuan. With a miserable shriek, the Skeleton Ocean Emperor was sent flying with smoke rising from his body. Even his mid-Emperor grade armor had a large dent. "Brat, you won't have a good death." The Skeleton Ocean Emperor had never thought that he would be the unlucky one in the end. He didn't want to die. He had only lived for 30,000 years, and his life was still on the rise. If you had known it would be like this, why did you do it in the first place? Yi Chen was like a ghost, attacking from the front with fleeting brilliance. Fleeting brilliance contained space profound. 80% of space profound was already equivalent to a peak third revolution sword art, and 90% was even more impressive. If it weren't for the fact that Yi Chen hadn't fused 90% of space profound into fleeting brilliance, its might would have been even stronger. Even so, the current fleeting brilliance was already close to a fourth revolution sword art. Apart from this, Instant of Glory was already the hardest sword art to defend against. Now that his space profound had reached a higher level, it became even more unfathomable. As he slashed out, the sword chi fused with the space and directly slashed at Skeleton Ocean Emperor's protective Zhen Yuan, forcibly blowing him back once again as he clashed with Fire Crystal Beast Emperor. No! The Skeleton Ocean Emperor's eyes were wide open. The Fire Crystal Beast Emperor didn't care about the battle between Yi Chen and the Skeleton Ocean Emperor. It only knew that it wanted to kill the two of them. Whoever was closer to it, it would kill them first. Rumble! The golden red light beam accurately landed on the Skeleton Ocean Emperor's body. This time, the Skeleton Ocean Emperor's body showed signs of collapsing as the blazing flame ignited it. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. The Skeleton Ocean Emperor knew that he couldn't escape unless he could leave the desolate planet immediately. Die! The Skeleton Ocean Emperor flipped his palm, and a pure black crystal fell into his hand. This was the Darkness Crystal, an extremely precious treasure. It had an extraordinary origin, and was something he had obtained in a mysterious star sky secret realm. For thousands of years, he hadn't used it, waiting for this moment of life and death to use it. Swish! With a powerful throw, the Skeleton Ocean Emperor threw out the Darkness Crystal. What is this? Yi Chen's pupils shrank as a sword chi landed on the Darkness Crystal. Without a sound, a black hole was formed. It was so fast that hundreds of fire crystal beasts in the surroundings were directly devoured. At the same time, a large amount of lava was also devoured. The terrifying gravitational force was many times stronger than a white dwarf. The reason why the Skeleton Ocean Emperor didn't throw the Darkness Crystal Beast Emperor was because he was the closest to it. The black hole formed by the Darkness Crystal Beast Emperor would devour him first, which might not be a threat to Yi Chen. One had to know that he hated Yi Chen the most at the moment. The gravitational force instantly acted on Yi Chen's body, reducing Yi Chen's speed to 0 as he flew towards the black hole. What? Yi Chen really didn't know that the Skeleton Ocean Emperor had this move. If it had done this before, he would have died long ago. No, Yi Chen crazily activated his Zhen Yuan and pushed his sword domain to the limit, contending against the black hole. Bigger, bigger, bigger! The dragon spring sword suddenly became 100 li long as Yi Chen slashed towards the black hole. Gotcha! The dragon spring sword shattered, and the fragments were sucked in. Taking out another Heavenly King grade sword, Yi Chen continued to enlarge it and slashed towards the black hole. But the result was still the same. The Skeleton Ocean Emperor and the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor were also sucked in. The Fire Crystal Beast Emperor sensed the danger and tried to fly in the opposite direction. However, the gravitational force was too strong, and it was still slowly pulled over. Haha, let's die together. The Skeleton Ocean Emperor was like a torch, burning from the inside out. After being attacked twice in a row, he was the weakest and the hardest to resist the black hole's gravitational force. However, he didn't think that Yi Chen could escape the black hole's devouring. It was just a matter of time. Perhaps he could even kill the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor and die together. Gradually, Yi Chen and the Skeleton Ocean Emperor got closer. If you want to die, you die first. A third heavenly king-grade sword appeared in Yi Chen's hand and slashed at the skeleton Ocean Emperor's body. Puff! The latter spurted out a mouthful of flames, and his aura weakened to the extreme. Yi Chen noticed the battle spear in the skeleton Ocean Emperor's hand. With a thought, he chopped off the opponent's right arm. Swish! Reaching out, Yi Chen grabbed the spear. Bastard! The skeleton Ocean Emperor cursed. In the next moment, he couldn't resist the gravitational force and disappeared into the black hole. This black hole is not formed naturally, and its power is limited. I can't. How much energy can it devour? Yi Chen hardened his heart. With a wave of his palm, countless yuan stones flew out of his storage ring and into the black hole. 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, 30 million, 80 million, 200 million. Countless yuan stones disappeared into the black hole. These yuan stones contained an astonishing amount of energy, and the black hole would consume the same amount of energy. Of course, if it were a naturally formed black hole, its might would be much greater. Even 10 times the amount of yuan stones wouldn't be enough. This was only a small black hole, and it had already devoured a large amount of energy and fire crystal beasts. As expected, the black hole that had swallowed hundreds of millions of origin stones gradually became smaller, and the gravitational force was also slowly decreasing. Still not enough. For the first time, Yi Chen felt that the speed of extracting yuan stones was not fast enough. If he could take out 1 billion yuan stones at once, it would be great. If 1 billion was not enough, then 2 billion. In any case, the yuan stone pond could recover 100 million yuan stones in a year. Right, there's still this fire crystal beast emperor. Yi Chen stared at the fire crystal beast emperor. Instantly erasing the soul imprint of the skeleton Ocean Emperor, Yi Chen branded his own soul imprint. This kind of fast imprint couldn't bring out the full power of the spear, but it was enough. The spear was a high Emperor-grade weapon. Even 30% of its power would surpass mid-Emperor-grade weapons. Holding the spear, Yi Chen slashed at the fire crystal beast emperor. Gotcha! Crystal fragments splashed everywhere, and the fire crystal beast emperor was sent flying. However, it was quickly sucked back, arriving in front of Yi Chen. Turning around, Yi Chen continued to attack the fire crystal beast emperor, slashing it toward the black hole. Roar! Finally, the fire crystal beast emperor was sucked into the black hole. The black hole trembled and shrunk into a dot, eventually disappearing. Meanwhile, Yi Chen was only a few li away from the black hole. It was a very short distance. With a bitter smile, Yi Chen looked around. The existence of the black hole had turned the surrounding several thousand li into a huge spherical space. It was completely empty, and only Yi Chen was floating inside. Chapter 1162. With this battle spear, leaving this place won't be a problem. Raising the spear in his hand, Yi Chen inwardly said. The battle spear was called Golden Spear, a high-grade Emperor-grade weapon. In terms of price, it was worth at least 100 million yuan stones. Generally speaking, low-grade Emperor-grade weapons were worth about 2 million yuan stones, mid-grade Emperor-grade weapons were worth 13 to 4 million yuan stones, and high-grade Emperor-grade weapons were worth 100 million yuan stones. As for armors, they were twice as expensive. Low-grade Emperor-grade armors were estimated to be worth 4 million yuan stones, mid-grade 30 million yuan stones, and high-grade 200 million yuan stones. In short, the higher one's strength, the more yuan stones one needed. Although some clans that controlled a city for thousands of years seemed to have a lot of wealth, it should be known that the higher the clan's income, the higher the expenditure. After all, there were too many life and death kings. Which clan didn't want to spend yuan stones on things they needed? Emperor-grade weapons, for example, were priceless, but some would still leak out. For example, some titled monarchs would have extra Emperor-grade weapons, and they would sell them to earn back the yuan stones and buy even better weapons. Weapons needed a period of time to display their full might. In Yi Chen's hands, the golden spear could only display 30% of its might. Adding on the fact that Yi Chen was a sword artist, he wasn't too suited for battle spears. 20% was already not bad. Bang! A fire crystal beast flew into the spherical space and was immediately smashed into pieces by Yi Chen's spear. The tyranny of a high-grade Emperor-grade weapon was completely revealed. While killing and collecting the remains of the fire crystal beasts, Yi Chen flew towards the periphery of the life star. If one were to say that Yi Chen with the dragon spring sword, who had just stepped into the low-level battle emperor realm, couldn't compare to veteran low-level battle emperors, then Yi Chen with the golden spear already had the strength of a mid-level battle emperor. If he could exchange the golden spear for a high-level emperor-grade sword, then he would definitely have the strength of a mid-level battle emperor. However, there was one thing that was very important. Not everyone could display the full might of a high-level emperor-grade artifact. In fact, even if Yi Chen spent a long time with a high-level emperor-grade artifact, he wouldn't be able to display 100% of its might. He would only be able to display 80% of its might. This was because his cultivation base was too low. Yi Chen only had the cultivation base of 5th layer life and death realm, and emperor-grade weapons were most suitable for 7th layer life and death realm. Even 6th layer life and death realm was a bit lacking, and could only display 90% of its might. Therefore, Yi Chen's current situation was very awkward. His cultivation base was too low, and he had to reach 6th layer life and death realm as soon as possible. Otherwise, even if he had a better weapon in the future, he wouldn't be able to display its full potential. Black sword chi shot out like snakes and spears, exploding one fire crystal beast after another. Without the obstruction of the fire crystal beast emperor, Yi Chen couldn't face any threat. Even the fire crystal beast king couldn't stop Yi Chen. It was chopped into pieces in 2 or 3 strikes, and its most precious parts became Yi Chen's spoils of war. So many high-grade fire crystals. I'm afraid my spirit body can increase from early 6th step to mid-6th step, or even late 6th step. Yi Chen, on the other hand, wasn't in a hurry to leave. The spirit body was very useful for life and death kings. An extra layer of defense meant an extra layer of protection. Sometimes, a life and death king would die at the hands of the enemy because of a little bit of defense. As the saying goes, the cowardly will starve to death, and the bold will die. Yi Chen began to chase after the fire crystal beast king. 4, 7, 10. There were not that many fire crystal beast kings. Out of hundreds of fire crystal beasts, there would only be one fire crystal beast king. After a couple of hours, he had already collected the precious parts of 10 fire crystal beast kings. Such a powerful energy vibration. Gradually, Yi Chen got closer to where the Dark Dragon Emperor and the other Fire Crystal Beast Emperor were battling. The Fire Crystal Beast Emperor's body was full of wounds and claw marks. The power of a low-rank Emperor weapon was hard to imagine for normal people. Although the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor's defense was dozens of times more powerful than the Fire Crystal Beast King's, it still didn't help much. Of course, the low-rank Emperor weapon in the Dark Dragon Emperor's hands could only leave some marks on the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor's body. On the other hand, the Dark Dragon Emperor's aura was getting stronger and stronger. The top Emperor rank armor allowed him to ignore the attacks of the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor, making him invincible. Moreover, he still had about 50% of his demon power left. This is a low-rank Emperor rank weapon? Opening his soul eye, Yi Chen was shocked. Above the Emperor rank was the Emperor rank weapon, which was suitable for the Emperors of the 7th sky of life and death realm, while the Emperor rank weapon was suitable for the Emperors of the 8th sky of life and death realm. The two were not even on the same level. He did not expect the Dark Dragon Emperor to have a low-rank Emperor rank weapon. For normal Emperors, it would be a priceless treasure. However, using a low-rank Emperor rank weapon for a 7th sky of life and death realm Emperor rank would consume a lot of energy. adding on the fact that the Dark Dragon Emperor's armor seemed to be a top Emperor rank armor as well. It would consume dozens of times more energy than normal emperors. If it were Yi Chen, he would have run out of Zhen Yuan by now. So troublesome. The Dark Dragon Emperor's brows creased slightly. The difficulty of the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor was beyond his imagination. Even with a low-rank Emperor rank weapon, it could only leave a shallow mark on its body. Dark Dragon Sky-Splitting Claw. The Dark Dragon Emperor roared as both of his claws intersected, attacking the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor's body. Pung! The Fire Crystal Beast Emperor was blown away. A crisscrossed claw mark appeared on its chest, and a faint crack could be seen at the edge. Obviously, the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor was not the opponent of the Dark Dragon Emperor. However, the defense of the two was too powerful. Roar! Right at this moment, a sky-shaking roar was heard. Yi Chen found it somewhat familiar. Soon, a golden-red beam of light entered the battlefield. It's it? Why is it not dead? Yi Chen's pupils dilated. The Fire Crystal Beast Emperor that had entered the battlefield was obviously the one that had been sucked into the black hole. Yi Chen could even see the light mark left by his golden spear on its body. Yi Chen did not know that the center of the desolate planet was a chaotic place. Although the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor had been sucked into the black hole, its body was not shattered. Instead, it was transported to the center of the planet, which was the nest of the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor, where they were born. Of course, it was a Fire Crystal Beast Emperor. In terms of defense, it was not weaker than an 8th Sky Life and Death Realm titled King Warrior. Only Emperor rank weapons could hurt it. Besides, Yi Chen's rank 7 Destruction Sword Intent combined with a high-rank Emperor rank weapon could also leave some mark. Damn! The Dark Dragon Emperor's expression turned ugly. Although the two Fire Crystal Beast Emperors could not beat him, they could drain his demonic power. Once his demonic power was exhausted, he would not be able to escape no matter how powerful he was. Let's go. Clenching his teeth, the Dark Dragon Emperor turned around and rushed out of the desolate planet. He planned to return to the demon's area and call two friends over to take care of the Fire Crystal Beast Emperors. Once the Dark Dragon Emperor escaped, Yi Chen naturally could not watch anymore. Shoo! Yi Chen nimbly avoided the groups of Fire Crystal Beasts. After half a day, Yi Chen finally left this dangerous planet and appeared in the outside world. Outside, Yi Chen felt like he could fly freely in the sky. His speed kept increasing until he was very close to the speed of light. This was mainly because of the dust and obstacles around him. Otherwise, it would not be a problem for him to reach the speed of light. Chapter 1163. After a while, Dark Dragon Emperor also rushed out, followed by two Fire Crystal Beast Emperors. Someone left before me? Dark Dragon Emperor's senses were very sharp. The traces left behind by Yi Chen's near light speed were exposed in his eyes. He did not expect that there would be someone like him, staying until now to leave planet desolate. It seemed like he had gained a lot. Humph, you're lucky you didn't meet me. With a cold snort, Dark Dragon Emperor increased his speed to the limit, flying in the other direction of the Black Tortoise ruins. His speed was not much slower than Yi Chen's. The Fire Crystal Beast Emperors chased for a while before stopping, returning to planet desolate. To them, the outside world was unfamiliar, and they could not stay for long. Only planet desolate was a safe place. On the Phantom, Yi Chen sat in the hall, drinking. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Bottle after bottle was drunk by Yi Chen. After a while, Yi Chen put down the empty bottle. This time's harvest is not small, but the most important are the fire crystals and the golden spear. Walala! A large number of fire crystal beast fragments fell in the center of the hall, piling up into a small mountain. The lighter ones were the normal fire crystal beast fragments, and the darker ones were the fire crystal beast king fragment. Whether it was the normal fire crystal beast or the fire crystal beast king, their eyes and hearts were all high-grade fire crystals. The eyes and hearts of the normal fire crystal beasts were low-grade, high-grade fire crystals, but they could refine a rank 5 spirit body. The fire crystal beast king's eyes and heart were high-grade fire crystals, which could refine a rank 6 spirit body. Other than that, the rest of the fragments also contained high-grade fire crystals, but they were diluted. The normal fire crystal beast fragments were no longer useful to Yi Chen, so Yi Chen put them away, leaving only the fire crystal beast king fragments. After sorting them out, Yi Chen obtained a total of 20 fire crystal beast king's eyes and 10 fire crystal beast king's hearts. Because the eyes and the hearts were much bigger than a high-grade fire crystal, Yi Chen estimated that 20 eyes and 10 hearts were equivalent to 1,200 high-grade fire crystals that could temper a Tier 6 spirit body. As for the fire crystal beast king's body fragment, it contained even more high-grade fire crystals. It was estimated to be equivalent to 3,000 high-grade fire crystals that could temper a 6th-grade spirit body. In total, there were 4,200 of them. TSK, it should be enough. Without going to the secret room of the battleship, Yi Chen sat cross-legged on the ground in the middle of the hall and began to refine his spirit body. Yi Chen's first choice was the Fire Crystal Beast King's body fragment. After spending about 200 of them, Yi Chen raised his spirit body from the early stage to the mid-stage of the 6th order. The higher the level of the spirit body, the more energy it required to temper it would increase by dozens of times. 200 of them wasn't considered a lot. Subsequently, after spending 800, Yi Chen's spirit body reached the late stage of the 6th order. From the late stage to the peak of the 6th order, he spent a total of 3,000 of them. The Fire Crystal Beast King's body fragment was completely used up, along with 18 eyes and 9 hearts. In the end, only 2 eyes and 1 heart were left, which wasn't enough for Yi Chen's spirit body to reach the 7th order. What a pity! Yi Chen felt a little regretful. The pinnacle of the 6th step spiritual body and the 7th step spiritual body weren't on the same level. The 6th step spiritual body could absorb damage, while the 7th step spiritual body could form an inextinguishable energy. This inextinguishable energy was very weak, but it could heal any injuries in a short period of time. It was said that the 9th step spiritual body of a body refinement sovereign was the indestructible body, and the indestructible body contained the inextinguishable energy. As long as the inextinguishable energy didn't dissipate, no one could defeat or kill him. Slowly standing up, Yi Chen felt his body brimming with power. He had an impulse to roar towards the sky. The peak of the 6th order spirit body was too powerful, but correspondingly, the Zhen Yuan in his body was too little. It was like half a bottle of water swaying, no, not even half a bottle of water. Carefully sensing the peak of the 6th order spirit body, Yi Chen let out a breath after a long time and opened his eyes. Swish! With a flash of light, the golden spear appeared in his hand. As a high-grade Emperor-grade weapon, the golden spear exuded a terrifying might. If it was an ordinary King-grade battleship, it would definitely not be able to withstand the impact of the golden spear. This skeleton ocean emperor is pretty good. Unfortunately, he harmed himself in the end. If the skeleton ocean emperor didn't want to kill him, he could have easily survived, and Yi Chen wouldn't have been able to obtain the golden spear. After going back, I'll use this golden spear to exchange for a high-grade Emperor-grade sword. Although Yi Chen didn't have the qualifications to purchase a high-grade Emperor-grade weapon, he could exchange for it. The golden spear was a high-grade Emperor-grade weapon, so it could naturally be exchanged for a high-grade Emperor-grade sword as long as the two were of equal value. With a high-grade Emperor-grade sword, Yi Chen would be able to display 80% of its might, consolidating his strength as a mid-grade battle emperor. Somewhat helplessly, defense had once again become Yi Chen's weak point. The mid-grade Heavenly King-grade armor, Iron Blood Deep Blue, was equivalent to a low-grade Emperor-grade armor. Originally, it wasn't too weak. Unfortunately, Yi Chen's cultivation base was too low, only at the 5th layer of life and death realm. Along the way, Yi Chen had encountered experts who weren't titled monarchs and had at least mid-grade emperor-grade armor. Yi Chen couldn't compare to them at all. Especially Dark Dragon Emperor, who actually had a peak emperor-grade armor and a low-grade emperor-grade weapon. In a one-on-one battle, Yi Chen wouldn't be able to break through the opponent's defense, and the opponent could kill him in one move. Buzz. The phantom emerged from the void and Yi Chen walked down. He didn't plan to leave the Black Tortoise ruins immediately. At the very least, he would return after obtaining sufficient rewards, such as killing a 3-star general. Killing a 3-star general would give him the qualifications to purchase a high-grade emperor-grade artifact. This was extremely tempting, and it could also make up for the flaw in his defense. As soon as Yi Chen had this thought, many alien races' armies suffered a calamity. It did not matter if it was 500 warriors, or 1,000, 5,000, or even 50,000 warriors. If they ran into Yi Chen, there would only be death waiting for them. Along the way, there were at least 50 to 60,000 warriors who had died in Yi Chen's hands, including a 2-star general. In this way, Yi Chen had already killed a 1-star dark race commander, a 1-star general, and a 2-star general. After an entire month and a half, Yi Chen's luck had come. He had encountered a 3-star general of the evil spirit race. The other party was a lone ranger and didn't lead an army. Swoosh. Yi Chen didn't conceal his whereabouts and rapidly flew over. A puny purple-gold commander dares to have designs on me? It had to be said that Yi Chen's cultivation base was too low, and it was easy for him to act like a pig to eat a tiger. If Yi Chen had a cultivation base of 7th layer life and death realm, the other party might have been apprehensive. Die. This 3-star general was called Chapman. He raised the long spear in his hand and thrust at Yi Chen. The spear light condensed into a sinister skull, wanting to devour Yi Chen. You're the one who's going to die. The golden spear brandished, and the black sword chi seemed as if it had devoured a black sun. Puff! The sinister skull shattered, and the sword chi struck Chapman's body. In an instant, his body exploded, and a deep sword mark appeared on his mid-grade emperor-grade armor. How is this possible? A voice rang out, and Chapman's life aura completely disappeared. His figure flickered, and Yi Chen swept through the spoils of war. A 3-star general's badge, a storage ring, a mid-grade emperor-grade armor, and a low-grade emperor-grade spear. Too easy. Yi Chen's taut nerves finally relaxed. At this point, a 3-star general was no longer his opponent. Now that he thought about it, his strength had already reached mid-battle emperor level, which was equivalent to a 5-star general. Moreover, the golden spear and 7th step destruction sword intent in his hands were not just for show either. They possessed enormous destructive power. Chapter 1164. Golden Armor Star, Treasure Tower. The Treasure Tower was the same as the Secret Law Tower, both of which were important places on the Gold Armor Star. They were protected by formations and restrictive spells arranged by 9th layer life and death realm supremes. Even an 8th layer life and death realm titled monarch would not be able to force his way into the Treasure Tower, unless he was a kind of heaven-defying demi-venerable or even a demi-venerable. At the entrance of Treasure Tower, there was an endless stream of people going in and out. Green Rain Emperor, how was your harvest this time? I heard you killed a 2-star general of Yiksha race. On Golden Armor Star, the majority of titled monarchs knew each other. The one who greeted Green Rain Emperor was a beast emperor with tiger stripes on his face. Those familiar with him all knew that this beast emperor was called Battle Tiger Emperor, a 2-star general. His true form was Gale Battle Tiger. The Qin Yu Empress was a human woman with delicate features and thin curved eyebrows. Although she wasn't a peerless beauty, many titled monarchs were pursuing her. Brushing her long hair away from her forehead, the Qin Yu Empress smiled and said, "I really can't hide anything from your ears. Not bad. I killed a 2-star general of the Yaksha race by luck this time, and I'm planning to buy a mid-tier Emperor-grade armor. TSK, congratulations! My strength is not as good as yours. I only killed a 1-star Dark Commander. Battle Tiger Emperor already had a low-grade Emperor-grade weapon, so he planned to buy a low-grade Emperor-grade armor. Not bad. I remember you were a 1-star general 500 years ago, and now you're a 2-star general. Green Rain Emperor had a gentle temperament and never looked down on anyone. Just a hoodlum. Oh right, I'm planning to go to Black Star Secret Realm next year. Do you want to come with me? Black Snake Emperor, Chaotic Wind Emperor, and Icy Peak Emperor will be going with me. Battle Tiger Emperor extended an invitation. Green Rain Emperor nodded. We'll talk about it later. If there's nothing else, I'll probably go. Exploring secret realms was something titled monarchs often did. Who knew, they might find powerful artifacts or other treasures in secret realms. If the opportunities were plentiful, their strength might even increase by 10 times. Look, there's a 5th layer life and death little guy. Battle Tiger Emperor noticed a blue-robed youngster not far away. Following his gaze, Green Rain Emperor guessed, to be able to come to Treasure Tower, he must be a purple gold commander. We can't look down on him. Perhaps even you and I aren't his opponent. Impossible. Your cultivation is so low? The War Tiger Emperor didn't believe it. Qingyu Emperor said seriously, you haven't heard, right? A 4-star purple gold commander has appeared in our human race, and he's also wearing blue clothes. It's probably him. 4-star purple gold commander. Battle Tiger Emperor obediently shut his mouth. If the opponent was truly a 4-star purple gold commander, then he was indeed not his opponent. In terms of strength, a 4-star purple gold commander was already equivalent to a 3-star general. In terms of status, even a 5-star general was a bit inferior. After all, the opponent had yet to reach the 7th layer of life and death realm. Once he became a titled monarch, his battle strength would be heaven-defying. Of course, the Battle Tiger Emperor didn't really believe that the young man was a 4-star purple gold warrior, mainly because his cultivation base was a bit low. If he were at the 6th sky of life and death realm, he might have a better chance. This blue-robed young man was Yi Chen. He had come to the treasure tool tower to buy an emperor-grade treasure. Little brother, how was your harvest this time? The War Tiger Emperor rolled his eyes and went up to strike up a conversation. Yi Chen sized him up with a glance, not bad. Didn't go to Black Tortoise Ruins in vain. How many honorary commanders did you kill? Seeing that Yi Chen didn't mind his conversation, the War Tiger Emperor became friendly. I didn't kill many honorary commanders. It was just a 1-star Dark Commander. Very good. With your cultivation base, I can't even beat an ordinary commander. Smiling, the War Tiger Emperor didn't continue pestering Yi Chen. How was it? He shouldn't be a 4-star purple gold commander. Otherwise, he wouldn't have only killed one dark one. The War Tiger Emperor said to the Qingyu Emperor. The Qingyu Emperor smiled. You're really looking for trouble. Perhaps he didn't stay in Black Tortoise Ruins for long. Even if he's strong, he'll have to encounter an enemy first. Shaking his head, the Qingyu Emperor entered the treasure tool tower. The first floor of the treasure tool tower was filled with a large number of low emperor-grade treasures. Yi Chen planned to choose a low emperor-grade armor for Su Jing and Murong Qingqing. As for a medium emperor-grade armor, it wasn't necessary at all. Moreover, it consumed too much energy. Along the way, Yi Chen found that Emperor-grade armors were about twice as expensive as Emperor-grade weapons, and there were only 60 to 70% of Emperor-grade weapons. Black Crow Armor 3. 8 million yuan stones. Wood Spirit Armor 4 million yuan stones. Purple Gold Muddy Sky Armor 4. 5 million yuan stones. Blue Bird Armor 4. 2 million yuan stones. Tiger Head Bright Silver Armor 3. 9 million yuan stones. Black Phoenix Spreading Wings Armor 4. 6 million yuan stones. Basically, a low Emperor grade armor's price was above 4 million yuan stones. I'll take this purple gold muddy sky armor. Yi Chen chose the purple gold muddy sky armor first. Su Jing was a golden dragon, which suited her in every aspect. Moreover, the armor's defense was also the strongest. After all, it was worth 4.5 million yuan stones. To buy a low Emperor grade artifact, you must have a 1-star honorary commander badge or a 1-star general badge. The workers on the first floor were all life and death kings. A pretty female king reminded. Here. Yi Chen handed over a 1-star dark commander badge and a mid-grade storage ring with 4.5 million yuan stones. Yi Chen had a lot of storage rings, so he didn't care about this one. Alright, please take it. The female king took out the purple gold muddy sky armor and handed it over to Yi Chen. Putting away the purple gold muddy sky armor, Yi Chen walked toward another platform. I'll take this Black Phoenix Spreading Wings armor. As he spoke, Yi Chen took out a 1-star general badge and a mid-grade storage ring with 4.6 million yuan stones. Little brother, you killed a 1-star general? Coincidentally, Battle Tiger Emperor was also nearby. He had already seen Yi Chen buy a purple gold armor, and now he bought this Black Phoenix Spreading Wings armor. He was somewhat astonished. Yi Chen faintly nodded. I was lucky. Impressive. The War Tiger Emperor gave a thumbs up. It wasn't that easy to kill a 1-star general. A 1-star general usually led an army of 50,000 people. I'll treat you to a drink when I have time. I'll go to the second floor first. Yi Chen didn't care much about the other's praise. He raised his foot and walked toward the second floor. What? Second floor? This time, Battle Tiger Emperor was truly astonished. A 2-star general was not the same as a 1-star general. Not only was he stronger, he would also have a low-grade Emperor-grade artifact. If it was a low-grade Emperor-grade armor, then even a 3-star general might not be able to kill him. The opponent could easily escape. Therefore, it was very difficult to increase the rank of general. Being stronger than the opponent didn't mean that one could kill the opponent. Could it be that he killed a 2-star honor commander? When Yi Chen said that he had only killed a 1-star dark commander, Battle Tiger Emperor was a bit suspicious. However, he didn't think that Yi Chen had any reason to lie. Moreover, the two didn't even know each other. Let's go and take a look. Battle Tiger Emperor decided to follow behind Yi Chen. He was extremely curious about Yi Chen. Chapter 1165. The second floor of the Treasure Tool Tower was filled with mid-level Emperor-grade weapons. Compared to the low-level Emperor-grade weapons on the first floor, it was much less. Of course, this was only relative. Yi Chen looked around and saw dazzling lights of Emperor-grade weapons everywhere. It was as if he had entered a magical place. The price of a mid-grade Emperor-grade artifact was several times higher than a low-grade Emperor-grade artifact. Yi Chen took a look and found that the price of a mid-grade Emperor-grade artifact was around 15 million yuan stones, while the price of a mid-grade Emperor-grade armor was around 30 million. However, for titled monarchs, several tens of millions of yuan stones were nothing. Let's see what kind of swords there are. Yi Chen not only planned to buy a high-level Emperor-grade sword, but also a mid-level Emperor-grade sword. There was an idiom that went, better safe than sorry. One more sword meant one more preparation. After all, anything could happen. If he only had one sword, once he lost it, his strength would be greatly reduced. Moreover, Yi Chen decided to show his face with a mid-level Emperor-grade sword. He would save the high-level Emperor-grade sword for the critical moment. With his cultivation base, using a high-level Emperor-grade sword would be too eye-catching. The saying, "the tallest tree in the forest will be blown by the wind," was not without reason. Purple Electric Frost Sword, 14 million yuan stones. Raging Flame Breeze Sword, 13 million yuan stones. Soaring Dragon Treasured Sword, 13.5 million yuan stones. Wind Feather Sword, 14. 5 million primary stones. Blue Moon Autumn Light Sword, 15 million yuan stones. White Mist Sword, 12 million yuan stones. Dragon Taming Sword, 15 million yuan stones. Frost Flower Sword, 16 million yuan stones. Celestial Ice Sword, 16. 5 million primordial stones. White Star Sky Wolf Sword, 16 million yuan stones. Silver Serpent Sword, 17 million yuan stones. There were many mid-level Emperor-level swords. As the main type of weapons, swords and sabers were the most common. In the end, Yi Chen chose the Silver Serpent Sword. The Silver Serpent Treasure Sword was a sword that looked like a silver serpent. The sword hilt seemed to be made of pure silver, and it was covered in densely packed silver snake scales. The body of the sword was curved like a snake, and it was radiant with silver light. The tip of the sword was a snake's head. In addition, the Silver Serpent Treasure Sword was a soft sword, and it was suitable for people with great sword arts. It was very difficult for ordinary sword emperors to unleash the full power of the Silver Serpent Treasure Sword. Handing over a 2-star general badge and 17 million source stones, Yi Chen received the Silver Serpent Sword. Good sword. Yi Chen observed it carefully, and the more he looked, the more he liked it. The Silver Serpent Sword felt cold in his hand. It seemed to have the power to calm people down. Faintly, Yi Chen could feel that the sword was trembling like a silver snake. The Silver Serpent Treasure Sword's scabbard was also gorgeous. It was covered in silver snake scales, and it looked more like a silver snake. At the end of the scabbard were 2 red gems that looked like the eyes of a snake, cold and emotionless. Clang! Sheathing the Silver Serpent Sword, Yi Chen wore it on his waist. 2-star general badge? Battle Tiger Emperor's mouth was wide open, unable to close. Following behind Yi Chen, he could clearly see that Yi Chen took out a 2-star general badge. Fortunately, he's a human. If he were an enemy, I would have died without a burial ground for looking down on him like this. Yi Chen was indeed a 5th heavenly layer life and death realm, but Yi Chen's battle strength shocked even Battle Tiger Emperor. On the battlefield, if Battle Tiger Emperor thought the opponent was a pushover, he wouldn't even know how he died. Of course, Battle Tiger Emperor felt that Yi Chen was a freak. He hoped that the other races didn't have this kind of freak, or else he'd be out of luck one day. Battle Tiger Emperor, am I right? Blue Rain Emperor also saw this scene. Your eyesight is indeed good. Battle Tiger Emperor repeatedly nodded. Blue Rain Emperor shook his head. It's not that my eyesight is good, it's a matter of mentality. The universe is so vast, and any kind of genius is possible. If I'm not wrong, he should be the only 4-star purple gold commander of my human race. But not many people know about it. The higher-ups have purposely sealed this information. AI, seems like I'm still too impetuous. I can't compare to you. But this is also a good thing. At least, it can remind me not to look down on the people of this world. Battle Tiger Emperor smiled. How is it? Have you chosen a suitable low-grade Emperor-grade artifact? Blue Rain Emperor asked. Not yet. The first one is low-grade Emperor-grade artifact. I have to be careful and choose the most suitable one. Right, what about you? I've already chosen. Blue Rain Emperor took out an armor that seemed to be carved out of emerald. Worthy of being a mid-grade Emperor-grade armor. Battle Tiger Emperor's face was full of envy. With the Silver Serpent Sword in hand, Yi Chen didn't stop and continued toward the 3rd floor. It can't be. Blue Rain Emperor and Battle Tiger Emperor, who thought Yi Chen was going to go down, gasped and looked at each other in dismay. What? How many foreign race generals did he kill in the Xianwu ruins? Why was there no end to it? Half of the high-grade Emperor-grade artifacts on the 3rd floor were gone. Of course, the number was still a lot. This was Yi Chen's main battlefield. He wanted to choose a high-grade Emperor-grade sword and a high-grade Emperor-grade armor. As for exchanging for a high-grade heavenly king set in the paradise of gods, that could wait. Right now, there was still a long way to go before he reached 5 million. He couldn't just ignore it. Defense was his biggest weakness. It was better to deal with it first. Tai's Scarlet Firmament Sword, 120 million. Giant Spirit Sword, 110 million. Flying Wave Cutter Sword, 110 million. True Martial 7 Calamity Sword, 120 million. Heaven Rainbow Sword, 90 million. Blood Shadow Ancient Sword, 90 million. The high-grade Emperor-grade swords on the third floor were all rare treasures. Ordinary titled monarchs would treat any one of them as a treasure. After all, high-grade Emperor-grade swords were even rarer in the market. Many people would rather leave them for their descendants than auction them. The true Martial 7 Calamity Sword is not bad, but it doesn't suit me. The true Martial 7 Calamity Sword had 7 sections, and the hilt had a black and white Tai Chi diagram. It looked simple and elegant, filled with an indescribable majesty and heavenly will. But Yi Chen had a feeling that although the true Martial 7 Calamity Sword was good, it didn't suit him. It might have something to do with his personality. All of a sudden, Yi Chen's vision was taken away by a sword. It was a sword that faintly emitted Emperor Qi. The sword was pure black and didn't have a trace of brilliance. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary black sword. If it wasn't for its unique aura, it would be hard to notice its existence. It was like the Emperor of the Night, noble, mysterious, and unfathomable. Eternal Night Emperor Sword, 160 million. What a great Eternal Night Emperor Sword. This is it. Without any hesitation, Yi Chen chose this unique sword. The sword Qi emitted by the Destruction Sword intent was black, and so was this sword. The two complemented each other. Taking out the golden spear, Yi Chen wanted to trade for it. Sorry, I can't estimate the price of this spear. Please wait a moment. The staff on the third floor left in a hurry. It seemed like he was going to find someone who could appraise the price of the spear. Yi Chen wasn't in a hurry. He waited quietly where he was. After a while, an old man dressed in black walked over. Chapter 1166. The black-robed old man's cultivation base was not low, even one level higher than Yi Chen's. He was at the sixth sky of life and death realm. He took the golden spear from Yi Chen's hand and carefully observed it, occasionally using his soul power to scan it. Then, he took out a square stone platform and placed the golden spear on it. The platform flickered with a bright light, eventually settling into a green color. Putting away the platform, the black-robed old man raised his head and said to Yi Chen, "This spear is a high-grade Emperor-grade weapon, a fine product. Its price is 120 million yuan stones." "What is a fine product?" Yi Chen asked. The black-robed elder explained, "Treasured weapons of the same grade are also divided into good and bad. The lowest grade is ordinary, followed by fine grade, then precious grade, and finally supreme grade. For example, this Eternal Night Emperor Sword is a supreme grade high-grade Emperor grade treasure sword, 1 in a million. If you want to exchange for this Eternal Night Emperor Sword, you need to take out another 40 million primeval stones." "So that's how it is. All right." Yi Chen nodded and took out 40 million yuan stones, handing them over. Receiving the stones and the spear, the black-robed old man handed them over to the staff and left in a hurry, seeming to be very busy. Holding the Eternal Night Emperor Sword, Yi Chen immediately felt a wave of Emperor Qi pouring into his body. His mind sank into darkness, but it was not the kind of feeling where he couldn't see anything. Instead, it was a feeling of being in the darkness and being able to see everything clearly. It was as if the sword in his hand was not a sword, but a dark night. This sword is much stronger than the golden spear. Yi Chen sucked in a deep breath and couldn't help but wave the Eternal Night Emperor Sword. Huff! The black sword wind surged, and the sovereign monarch closest to it was caught off guard. He could not help but be blown away, and his protective quintessence flickered. Stabilizing his body, the monarch glared at Yi Chen. Sorry. Yi Chen immediately reacted and apologized. Forget it, I was just like you back then. I couldn't control myself after obtaining a treasure. This titled monarch was not someone who would be unforgiving. Seeing that Yi Chen did not do it on purpose, he did not pursue the matter any further. I'm really sorry. These 10 bottles of lava wine and iced sea wine can be considered my apology. Yi Chen saw that the other party's clothes were torn and he was in a sorry state. Lava wine and iced sea wine from the paradise of gods. Good stuff. The man's eyes lit up and he happily took it. My name is Lang Feng. I'll make friends with you. May I know your name? Lang Feng was also quite famous on the Golden Armor Star. He was titled Scarlet Wind Emperor and was a 5-star general. He was very powerful, but he was not arrogant at all. Instead, he was very willing to make friends. Otherwise, if it was someone else, they would definitely not let it go. I am Yi Chen. Yi Chen reported his name. You are the only 4-star purple gold commander of our human race? Scarlet Wind Emperor Lang Feng was well informed and asked hesitantly. You can say so. Yi Chen did not deny and sheathed the Eternal Night Emperor sword. Immediately, the sword became very ordinary, without a trace of aura leaking out. I can see that your strength is not just 4-star purple gold commander, right? 5-star purple gold commander should be more like it. To be able to enter the 3rd floor of the treasure tower, a 4-star purple gold commander was not enough. Scarlet Wind Emperor couldn't help but admire Yi Chen. To have such strength at the 5th layer of life and death realm, he could be called a heaven-defying genius. After chatting for a while, Scarlet Wind Emperor said, If you have time, let's go to the Sun Moon restaurant in Golden Armor, Nebula Barracks for a drink. The wine there is also not bad, only a bit worse than the wine from the Paradise of Gods. Sun Moon restaurant? You know the Snow Air Emperor? Yi Chen couldn't help but ask. Scarlet Wind Emperor laughed heartily. The Snow Air Emperor is my girlfriend. In order to pursue her, I spent 100 years. However, we got to know each other in the Paradise of Gods. It turned out that Scarlet Wind Emperor used to be a member of the Paradise of Gods. In fact, the majority of titled monarchs and even supremes came from the Paradise of God. This was not surprising to Yi Chen. I still want to choose another armor. I'll go to the Sun Moon restaurant later. Yi Chen thought for a while and said, Alright, it's a deal. Let's not go home until we're drunk. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Scarlet Wind Emperor intuitively knew that Yi Chen was a friend worth making. His intuition was rarely wrong. After Scarlet Wind Emperor left, Yi Chen continued to stay on the 3rd floor of the treasure tower. The price of high-grade Emperor-grade armors was astonishing. The cheapest one cost 200 million yuan stones, and some even reached 300 million. This was not a small number even for titled monarchs of the 7th layer. After all, many of them had families behind them, and their wealth was not that great. 7 Sea Flood Dragon Armor, 240 million yuan stones. 9 Dragon Armor, 280 million yuan stones. Galaxy Armor, 280 million yuan stones. Radiant Armor, 220 million yuan stones. Scarlet Battle Armor, 220 million yuan stones. Primordial Unity Chi Armor, 300 million yuan stones. Armors were used to protect one's life, so the price was understandable. After a while, Yi Chen chose the Primordial Unity Chi Armor, which was worth 300 million yuan stones. The Primordial Unity Chi Armor was quite peculiar. Its material was similar to jade, and its surface was filled with chaotic chi flows. Upon careful observation, one could see that these chaotic chi flows were moving in a regular pattern, forming an inseparable whole. Handing over the 3-star general badge and 300 million yuan stones, Yi Chen grabbed the Primordial Unity Chi Armor. Dang! Yi Chen flicked his finger. Relying on his touch, Yi Chen could feel that the power of his finger flicking was completely scattered, unable to be concentrated. With further reasoning, it wasn't hard to understand that this primordial singular energy was unique in its ability to disperse attack. If one struck out with 100% of one's strength, it would be scattered into thousands of parts. Unless one's attack strength surpassed the upper limits of the primordial singular energy, it would be difficult to break through its defenses. There are so many good things here. There are even Emperor-grade armors and the rarely seen supreme armor in the universe. Yi Chen sighed and put away the primordial unity chi armor. Night fell. Cloud Coming Army Camp, Sun Moon Restaurant. In the most luxurious private room on the top floor, 4 people were sitting there. Among these 4, 2 were Scarlet Wind Emperor and Snow Air Emperor. The other 2 were not ordinary either, having a cultivation base of 7th layer life and death realm. If someone who knew them were here, they would recognize them as Fire Sparrow Emperor and Stone Emperor. One was a 4-star general, and the other a 5-star general. In comparison, Snow Air Emperor was the weakest, being a 3-star general. The 4 had known each other for a long time. Due to their good relationship, the outside world had given them a collective name: Earth, Water, Fire, and Wind Emperors. Earth was Stone Emperor, Water was Snow Air Emperor, Fire was Fire Sparrow Emperor, and Wind was Scarlet Wind Emperor. Among them, Stone Emperor was the oldest, while Snow Air Emperor was the youngest. Lang Feng, it's already so late. Do you think he will come? Fire Sparrow Emperor had a fiery temperament. He took a bite of barbecued meat and asked. Scarlet Wind Emperor smiled. Of course he will. I can't be wrong in judging people. The 3 were Scarlet Wind Emperor's best friends, and Snow Air Emperor was his girlfriend. The 4 hadn't seen each other for several years. This time, they were meeting at Sun Moon Restaurant. Later on, Scarlet Wind Emperor invited Yi Chen. Fire Sparrow Emperor and Stone Emperor were also quite curious about Yi Chen, so they looked forward to it. He's here. At this moment, Scarlet Wind Emperor and Snow Air Emperor stood up and walked out of the private room to welcome him. Chapter 1167. Sorry, I'm late. Leaving the treasure tower, Yi Chen found a place to test the power of the Silver Snake Sword and Eternal Night Emperor Sword. He had almost forgotten about the gathering tonight. Not late. Come, this way, I'll introduce you to 2 friends. Scarlet Wind Emperor let out a sigh of relief. He was truly afraid that Yi Chen wouldn't come. Snow Air Emperor sized up Yi Chen and said with a smile, After a day, I'll look at you in a different light. If this speed of yours were to spread to the other races, I'm afraid it would cause a huge storm. Back in the Black Tortoise ruins, Yi Chen's strength was much weaker than hers. Who would have thought that he would surpass her in just a year? She couldn't help but admire him. Entering the private room, Yi Chen saw Scarlet Wind Emperor's 2 friends. One was an enchanting beauty wearing a fiery feather robe. Her appearance and figure were both extremely sexy. Her fiery red hair was tied into a ponytail, looking like a throbbing flame. Her eyes were deep red like 2 red diamonds, and her plump red lips were slightly upturned, giving off a smile that was yet not a smile. At this moment, she was openly observing Yi Chen. The other was an old-fashioned youth wearing a gray robe. He didn't look very dazzling, but he couldn't be ignored, faintly emitting an ancient aura. Both of them were at the 7th sky of life and death realm. The feather-robed woman was a beast emperor, while the old-fashioned youth was a titled human emperor. This is Fire Sparrow Emperor, and this is Stone Emperor. He is Yi Chen. Scarlet Wind Emperor introduced the 2. 5th sky of life and death realm, a bit low. It's hard to imagine that you could kill a 3-star general. Fire Sparrow Emperor said honestly. Yi Chen smiled but didn't explain. Come, everyone, sit down. Let's not go home until we're drunk. As the owner of Sun Moon Restaurant, Snow Air Emperor warmly greeted everyone. Fine wine and delicacies were served, and the 5 chatted while eating. The atmosphere gradually rose. How about we play a game? The loser has to answer questions and no lies. Fire Sparrow Emperor suddenly thought of an idea and said, Truth or dare? Yi Chen raised his brows. What game? The Scarlet Wind Emperor asked. Guess the dice. The Fire Sparrow Emperor took out a covered container from his storage ring and flipped his palm. 10 dices appeared on it, each with 1 to 6 points. This container can isolate soul power and energy. It is a special artifact. Wait a moment, I will put the 10 dices in and shake it. Everyone, guess a few points. The one with the most ridiculous guess will be asked a question. What do you think? It was very simple. But it's fun. I have no objections. The Scarlet Wind Emperor was the first to raise his hand. I have no objections either. The Snow Air Emperor laughed. Sounds good. The Stone Golem Emperor nodded. In the end, only Yi Chen was left. I can play with it. Yi Chen nodded. Although guessing the dice looked simple, it was actually very difficult. Under the situation where both soul power and energy were isolated, they could only rely on their hearing. However, there were a lot of dice, and when they shook it, there would be a lot of variables. Moreover, they were not ordinary people. The speed at which they shook the dice would definitely be very fast. This was a huge challenge for their hearing. Alright, the game officially begins. The Fire Sparrow Emperor put the 10 dices into the container, all with 1 point on the top. He closed the lid. How about this? I will be the first to shake it, and everyone else will take turns. Let's begin. The Scarlet Wind Emperor was a bit impatient. He loved this kind of challenging game. Swoosh. Raising the utensil, the Fire Sparrow Emperor began to shake it rhythmically. The dice inside the utensil bounced back and forth, making popping sounds. The rhythm became faster and faster, until the popping sounds became one. At the same time, everyone's ears perked up as they carefully distinguished the number and position of the dice in the utensil. Pap! The Fire Sparrow Emperor slammed the container on the table with his right hand and said, I will guess last. I guess 34. The Scarlet Wind Emperor was the first. 36. The Stone Golem Emperor followed up with another number. 42. Then, the Snow Air Emperor said. Yi Chen thought for a bit and said, 48. The Fire Sparrow Emperor looked at Yi Chen in surprise. He had guessed the same number as her. 42. The lid opened, and inside were 3 4s, 2 6s, 2 5s, 2 3s, and 1 2. It was exactly 42. Lang Feng, you are the worst. The Fire Sparrow Emperor pointed at the Scarlet Wind Emperor. The Scarlet Wind Emperor's face was gloomy. How strange. I didn't hear wrong. Stop whining. You lost the bet. All right, I will ask the question, the Fire Sparrow Emperor said proudly. All right, ask. May I ask, when did you and Shui Air consummate? The Fire Sparrow Emperor laughed. Schwa. The Snow Air Emperor's face turned red, and he glared at the Fire Sparrow Emperor angrily. The Scarlet Wind Emperor laughed. About 72 years ago. After saying that, he purposely raised his eyebrows. But soon, he let out a muffled cry as his waist was twisted by the Snow Air Emperor. It's my turn. The Scarlet Wind Emperor shouted. You. The Fire Sparrow Emperor passed the container to the Scarlet Wind Emperor. I want to play with a higher difficulty. Everyone, be careful. Grabbing the container, the Scarlet Wind Emperor didn't adjust the dice and directly shook it. Sometimes it was fast, sometimes it was slow, sometimes it was fast, sometimes it was slow, sometimes it was fast, and sometimes it was slow. He messed up the original rhythm. In terms of difficulty, it was indeed much more difficult than the Fire Sparrow Emperor. All right, everyone guess. The Scarlet Wind Emperor put down the container. The Snow Air Emperor frowned and looked hatefully at the Scarlet Wind Emperor. She had no clue. It should be 27. 29. The Stone Man Emperor also frowned. 43. Yi Chen's answer was a little more than before. 53. This time, the Fire Sparrow Emperor was different from Yi Chen. The Scarlet Wind Emperor smiled proudly and said, The answer is 30. After saying that, he opened the lid, but the next moment, his face turned red. The number inside wasn't 30, but Yi Chen's answer, 43. This is so weird. The Scarlet Wind Emperor scratched his head. Don't tell me you have some special ability to see the number inside? The Fire Sparrow Emperor looked at Yi Chen with suspicion. Yi Chen was shocked. No, I just listen. Damn pervert. The Fire Sparrow Emperor and the Scarlet Wind Emperor rolled their eyes. Snow, it's your turn now. You two are indeed a pair. The Fire Sparrow Emperor looked at the Snow Air Emperor with evil intentions. The Snow Air Emperor had a bad feeling. She knew how difficult the Fire Sparrow Emperor was. Isn't it the person who shakes the dice who asks? Yes, it's me. The Scarlet Wind Emperor came back to his senses. Have you eaten breakfast? A very boring question. Yes. The Snow Air Emperor heaved a sigh of relief. Next, it was the Snow Air Emperor's turn. The one who guessed the most was the Fire Sparrow Emperor. The Snow Air Emperor asked him who he liked. Green-clothed Emperor. The Fire Sparrow Emperor answered without hesitation. The Snow Air Emperor smiled bitterly. She had forgotten that the Fire Sparrow Emperor never knew the meaning of shyness. The Green-Cloved Emperor was an 8th-layer life and death realm titled monarch. Yi Chen thought to herself. After playing for 2 hours, everyone stopped. Yi Chen was really too perverted. He didn't get it wrong even once. How could they play anymore? The Fire Sparrow Emperor gritted his teeth in anger. Chapter 1168. Why don't we talk about the strange things that you've encountered? The Scarlet Wind Emperor suddenly suggested. Strange things? I've encountered a few. The Stone Emperor's eyes lit up when he heard the Scarlet Wind Emperor's suggestion. That sounds good. The Snow Air Emperor nodded. I'll go first. The Scarlet Wind Emperor organized his thoughts and said, everyone should know about the astral beast. I wonder, what is the biggest astral beast that you have encountered? About 10,000 miles. I've seen star beasts that were 100,000 miles long. That one? I saw a complete star beast skeleton in a secret realm. Its head and tail were more than 1,000,000 miles long, and its eye sockets could fit an ordinary planet. Everyone expressed their opinions. Yi Chen, what about you? The Scarlet Wind Emperor asked Yi Chen. Yi Chen smiled awkwardly. Less than 5,000 miles. He had only seen a handful of star beasts, and he had never seen one that was that big. Do you know how big the biggest star beasts I've seen was? The Scarlet Wind Emperor deliberately kept everyone in suspense. Say it or not. The Fire Sparrow Emperor curled his lips. The Scarlet Wind Emperor said, the biggest star beasts I've seen were 1,000,000 miles long, and its eyes were comparable to a Grade 1 life planet. It had a horn on its head, and I couldn't see the end of it. It seemed to have pierced through the sky. I was scared out of my wits at that time. You're bluffing. How big was that star beast? The Fire Sparrow Emperor asked. I don't know, but it should be around 1,000,000,000 miles long. Then why are you still alive? The Fire Sparrow Emperor asked. Star beasts that were 1,000,000,000 miles long were definitely heaven-defying monsters. They could probably kill the Scarlet Wind Emperor with just one breath. How could they be sitting there? The Scarlet Wind Emperor said, actually, I didn't see it. I only saw an image. In the image, the star beasts were chained by 9 chains of unknown length. The images are real, so it's possible that there are astral beasts that are 1,000,000,000 miles long. The Stone Emperor was very knowledgeable, so he didn't doubt the existence of such heaven-defying beasts. That's right. Rumor has it that the star beast supremacy is several 100,000,000 miles long. Although it's not as big as this one, it's not too far off. The Snow Air Emperor helped the Scarlet Wind Emperor. All right, I'm done. It's your turn. The Scarlet Wind Emperor looked at the Stone Puppet Emperor. The Stone Emperor nodded. Then I'll tell you about the legend of the Headless Sovereign. Headless Sovereign? The 4 of them, including Yi Chen, stared blankly for a moment before focusing their attention. Ninth heavenly layer life and death realm supremes were supreme existences in the universe. So, why did they lose their heads? Perhaps anyone would want to know. The celestial river is one of the most miraculous existences in the universe, the Stone Emperor slowly explained. It practically divides the universe in two. If you want to cross it, you can't fly. You can only take a boat. I saw the headless paragon in the celestial river. The heavenly river? Yi Chen held his breath. He had heard of the heavenly river, and it was not an exaggeration to say that it was the number one wonder in the universe. No one knew how long the heavenly river was, nor where its source was. It was only known that the heavenly river had existed since ancient times, and no one had ever been able to find out how long it was or where its source was. Even supremes would feel powerless when facing the heavenly river. Outside the heavenly river, one could freely fly, and there was no limit to how far one could go. However, above the heavenly river, no one could fly. If one tried to fly, they would fall into the heavenly river. If one wanted to cross the heavenly river, one could only obediently take a boat or walk on the river's surface. It was said that the heavenly river contained countless treasures, corpses, and countless immemorial beasts. It was the number one wonder in the universe, an unknown place. Yi Chen had read about the heavenly river in a book, and he had never forgotten about it. However, a year later, an incomparably huge water monster appeared. It looked like a loach, but was millions of times more ferocious. It opened its mouth and spat out water from the heavenly river, covering the entire sky. The ship nearly sank. Even the 3/8 layer life and death emperors weren't its match. Just when we thought we were going to be buried in the heavenly river, a figure appeared. This figure wasn't very big, only 10 meters tall. However, standing there, it looked like an indomitable giant. His supreme aura spread out, calming the surging waves of the heavenly river. With a grab of his hand, the water monster was bound by an invisible force, unable to move. In the end, it rapidly shrank and was stuffed into his neck. Only then did I realize that this figure didn't have a head. Blood flowed out from the wound all the time. I thought that he should be using the water monster's essence blood to replenish himself, so that he wouldn't run out of essence blood in the end. Of course, I was also worried that this headless sovereign might consider us as a source of essence blood. Fortunately, my worries didn't come true. The headless sovereign glanced at us, then turned around and walked toward the boundless heavenly river, disappearing in the end. However, when I turned around, I saw that the 3/8 layer life and death emperors had tears streaming down their faces. They said that the headless sovereign belonged to our human race, and that he was definitely a senior of the past. A sorrowful aura pervaded the treasured ship. Everyone was silent as they gazed at the direction where the headless sovereign disappeared. After returning, I specifically looked up some information about the headless sovereign. I found that he had existed for who knows how many years. He had always been wandering above the heavenly river, never going anywhere else. Because of the vastness of the heavenly river, meeting the headless sovereign was something one could only come across by chance. Even sovereigns would have a hard time finding him. Unwittingly, Stone Emperor stopped his narration. However, no one noticed it. They were still stuck in the scene he described. In their minds, the image of the headless sovereign seemed to appear. It was so lonely and sorrowful. Yi Chen was the first to sober up. Without saying anything, Yi Chen picked up his wine cup and clinked it with Stone Emperors. Soon after, the others also sobered up and drank in silence. The path of cultivation was not always smooth sailing. The headless sovereign made them feel a sense of cruelty. They did not know who the headless sovereign was, nor did they know who had cut off the headless sovereign's head. It was hard for them to imagine what it was like for a headless person to stay above the celestial river for countless years. Perhaps he was looking for something, or perhaps there was something that he missed. It's really uncomfortable to tell such a sorrowful story. You should punish yourself with 3 bottles of wine. Fire Sparrow Emperor glared at Stone Emperor. Alright, I should. Stone Emperor laughed and raised his head to drink. The gathering continued until the next morning. The five separated, but they had already arranged a time to meet again. Chapter 1169. The mysterious gravity star was not that big. It was about 12,000 li in diameter, and its gravity was only 1% of that of a white dwarf star. Without a cultivation base of the third sky of life and death realm, going there would be no different from asking for trouble. If one was not careful, one's body would collapse, and one's Tao would disappear. Even if one was at the third sky of life and death realm, one would still need to replenish Zhen Yuan from time to time. Of course, in such a harsh environment, one would not be able to stay in there forever. One would have to leave every once in a while, since everyone had their own limit. There were a lot of people training on the mysterious gravity star. As far as the eye could see, every 1,000 meters there would be a third sky of life and death realm or above sitting there. There were 3 mountain ranges on the mysterious gravity star. These 3 mountain ranges were very precious, because they could be used to create a large number of caves. If one were to train inside, it would not be easy to attract attention. The caves in the mountain ranges were almost all occupied by the big parties. Some of the lone king warriors would not be able to enjoy such treatment. In the 3rd mountain range, there were 2 caves in the middle of a short mountain. The stone doors of the caves were tightly shut, and the light of arrays and restrictions were faintly flickering. Obviously, these 2 caves had been arranged with a lot of arrays and restrictions to prevent people from intruding. Outside of one of the caves, an old man and a young man were sitting cross-legged. The old man was wearing blue robes, and his body was tall and majestic. His bulging muscles were full of explosive power, and his aura was shocking. If one did not look at his face, one would think that he was a strong man. It would be hard to guess that he was actually an old man. Vaguely, the old man's skin had a layer of bronze color. The young man next to him was not as tall as the old man, but he was still much taller than normal people. He was wearing a luxurious silver robe, and there was an endless heroic spirit between his brows. His skin was covered in a layer of faint silver, faintly discernible. The existence of an old man and a young man was very strange. After all, this was someone else's cave. Buzz. About 100,000 li away from the mysterious gravity star, a battleship appeared. The cabin door opened and Yi Chen walked out. Putting away the phantom ship, Yi Chen's body flickered as he flew toward a certain place on the mysterious gravity star. I wonder if Su Jing and Qin Qing have broken through to the 4th sky of life and death realm. Yi Chen thought. There was still less than a year before the next opening of the God test field. If Su Jing and Murong Qin Qing could not break through to the 4th sky of life and death realm, it would be very difficult for them to occupy the top 10 positions on the Sky King list. If they missed this opening of the God test field, they would not have another chance in the future. The gravity of the mystic gravity planet was very strong, so Yi Chen's flying speed slowed down. After a few dozen breaths, Yi Chen finally saw the low mountain peak. What happened? Yi Chen immediately saw an old man and a young man standing outside Su Jing's immortal cave. Frowning, Yi Chen drove his Zhenyuan and flew over. Who is it? Stop. The silver-clothed youth opened his eyes, and his stern voice reached Yi Chen's ears. Who are you people? Yi Chen continued flying and snorted coldly. If I tell you to stop, then stop. As he spoke, the silver-robed young man was about to make his move. Stop! The azure-clothed elder stopped the silver-clothed youth and glared at him. Elder, you are too reckless. If you disturb her training and something bad happens, how can you bear the responsibility? The azure-clothed elder reprimanded the silver-clothed youth. Yes. The silver-clothed youth lowered his head unwillingly. Swish. Yi Chen landed on the flat ground in front of the cave and scanned the azure-clothed elder and the silver-clothed youth. Frowning again, Yi Chen realized that these two were not humans, but beasts. To be more specific, these two were giant dragons, and their dragon aura could not be hidden from Yi Chen's senses. Could it be that the giant dragons had found out that Su Jing was a gold dragon and wanted to bring her back to the dragon race? Yi Chen thought for a moment, and his guess was not far off. Yi Chen's guess was right. Chen Qinghai and Shi Tao were indeed here to take Su Jing away. It turned out that the mysterious gravity star was not always peaceful. Battles would occasionally break out. One time, Su Jing and a lone king warrior at the fifth sky of life and death realm fought fiercely. During the intense battle, Su Jing did not bother to hide her true form and transformed into a gold dragon, beating the opponent back. Not long after, the news of the gold dragon being found in the mysterious gravity star reached the dragon race. The upper echelons of the dragon race sent an elder and a young elite to the vermilion bird star, hoping that the two could bring the gold dragon back. After all, the gold dragon was a high-level giant dragon, which was at the same level as the crystal dragon. Once it matured, it would definitely become the pillar of the dragon race. The elder and young elite sent by the dragon race were precisely Chen Qinghai and Shi Tao. Chen Qinghai's true form was a bronze dragon, while Shi Tao's true form was a silver dragon. These two were the main members of the dragon race, and had a very high status. "You are members of the dragon race," Yi Chen said. Chen Qinghai nodded, indeed. "I wonder who you are, little brother?" "The person inside is my woman," Yi Chen said straightforwardly. The dragon race was the number one race of the beast race, and the beast race was the vassal of the human race. Yi Chen had heard a long time ago that the dragon race was rather arrogant and domineering. They did things swiftly and decisively, not giving others any face. A lot of people did not like the dragon race. However, although there were very few members of the dragon race, each of them had a very powerful battle power. Any one of them would be an absolute warrior within the same realm. "Your woman?" Not only Shi Tao, even Chen Qinghai's face darkened a bit. "Nonsense. The gold dragon of our dragon race is not something that you, a mere fifth sky king warrior, can match up to. Don't be a toad lusting after swan meat." Shi Tao could not help but yell angrily. Yi Chen said in a deep voice, "Whether I'm worthy of her or not, it's not up to you to decide. Please go back. We'll pay a visit to the dragon race when we have time in the future, but not now." Before figuring out the ins and outs of the dragon race, Yi Chen did not intend to let Su Jing return to the dragon race. Who knew what the dragon race was waiting for her? Of course, if returning to the dragon race was beneficial to Su Jing, Yi Chen would not stop her. However, the premise was that the two sides had to have a proper discussion and not put on a high and mighty appearance. Revealing a forced smile, Chen Qinghai said, "No matter what, the fact that she is a gold dragon cannot be changed. Our dragon race also needs her. If it's for her own good, you should let her return to the dragon race. Only in the dragon race can she receive the best training. What do you think?" As he spoke, Chen Qinghai released a bit of his aura. Bang! The berserk aura was suppressed to a small area. Those who were far away would not be able to sense it. However, Yi Chen could clearly sense it, because this aura was directed at him. This was the aura of an 8th level life and death heavenly emperor. Although battle emperors had the strength to challenge 8th level life and death heavenly emperors, they were still lacking something. First of all, 8th level life and death heavenly emperors had the ability to teleport, which was not something that battle emperors could compare with. Secondly, 8th level life and death heavenly emperors had higher grade artifacts, which were basically emperor grade artifacts. Under normal circumstances, 8th level life and death heavenly emperor's strength was no lower than mid-level battle emperors. Moreover, Chen Qinghai was a bronze dragon. Dragons might not be invincible in the same realm, but they were at least among the experts. Chapter 1170. What, you want to threaten me? An aura containing the destruction sword intent was released, contending against the opponent's aura. Yi Chen's expression turned serious. In a one-on-one battle, he was naturally not Chen Qinghai's opponent. The latter's strength might have already surpassed high-level combat emperors and reached peak combat emperors. A dragon's strength was no joke. Not to mention Chen Qinghai, even Shi Tao, who was right next to him, Yi Chen did not have the confidence to win against him. The latter was at the seventh sky of life and death realm, and his power was probably no lower than a mid-rank battle emperor. Although Yi Chen had almost familiarized himself with the Eternal Night Emperor sword and could perform 70% of its power, it would still depend on who his opponent was. In short, Yi Chen's cultivation base was still a bit low. If he could enter the sixth layer, not only would his Zhen Yuan become much purer and more vigorous, he would also be able to display the might of the immemorial Single Qi and Eternal Night Emperor sword. Of course, if he could integrate 90% of the space profound into momentary glory, Yi Chen's strength would reach a whole new level. It's not a threat. I just want to let you know the determination of my dragon race, Chen Qinghai said slowly. The determination of the dragon race? I wonder if you can represent the dragon race. Of course. Chen Qinghai didn't want to push too far. He could see a frightening potential in Yi Chen's body. As an eighth-layer life and death heavenly emperor, his eyesight couldn't be that bad. Yi Chen's aura contained a destruction sword intent, which was almost at the eighth step. With such a powerful sword intent at the fifth layer, it wasn't hard to imagine that he was no ordinary person. Perhaps he was one of the 4-star purple-gold commanders of the human race. Humans are really strong. Although their physiques are much weaker than our dragon race, their geniuses are endless. Chen Qinghai sighed inwardly. Then remember my words. If you take her away by force, I won't be able to stop you. However, you must be prepared to face my wrath. Yi Chen's greatest weakness was time. However, time would pass and he would continue to improve. One day, he would reach the apex and look down on the starry sky. Impudent! Shi Tao was young and impetuous, so he was angered by Yi Chen's words. Chen Qinghai stopped Shi Tao and said, "We won't take her away by force. You don't have to worry about that." Regardless of whether there was Yi Chen or not, Chen Qinghai would not forcefully take Su Jing away. He felt that there was no need for that at all. In his opinion, which giant dragon did not want to return to the dragon tribe? Unfortunately, he did not expect Yi Chen to appear. Sensing Yi Chen's potential, Chen Qinghai hesitated slightly. The dragon tribe were not fools, who would go around stirring up trouble for no reason. Just as Yi Chen had said, Yi Chen was powerless to stop him now. In the future, it would be hard to say. I hope so. Seeing that Chen Qinghai's tone had relaxed, Yi Chen knew that he could not be too forceful. Seriously speaking, Su Jing's return to the Dragon Clan was also a good thing, but first, it had to be within the scope of control. He could feel that when he said that Su Jing was his woman, the other two's expressions did not look good. It was obvious that they did not wish to see a union between a dragon and a human. He hoped that the higher-ups of the Dragon Clan would not have this idea, otherwise, they could only become enemies with the Dragon Clan. How about this, let's wait for her to come out first? Chen Qinghai suggested. Sure. Yi Chen nodded. Elder, this brat is too arrogant. Shi Tao transmitted his voice to Chen Qinghai. Chen Qinghai replied, as a genius of the human clan, he naturally has the confidence to be arrogant. We should try our best to take her away without harming the harmony between us. If we really can't do it, we can only return and report the news to the higher-up. They will not run away anyway. As an elder of the Dragon Clan, Chen Qinghai was not only powerful, but also very clear-headed. Now they had two choices. One was to forcefully take the Golden Dragon away and offend Yi Chen. The consequences were not too serious, but it was not necessary. The second was to stabilize the other party and see how the situation turned out. In the cave abode, Su Jing's body emitted a strong golden dragon force. This was a sign that she was about to break through. Whoosh! A large number of primordial stones piled up in front of her. Su Jing quickly absorbed the energy in the primordial stones. The energy in the primordial stones was in a chaotic state. It could be converted into any form of energy, including dragon force. 100,000. 500,000. As a golden dragon, Su Jing's body contained a huge amount of dragon force. When she broke through to the next realm, the amount of primordial stones required was also exceptionally high. Previously, when Yi Chen entered the fourth sky of life and death realm, he had only spent several tens of thousands of primordial stones. However, Su Jing had already used up 500,000 primordial stones. The gap was not small at all. When 1,000,000 primordial stones were used up, the dragon force in Su Jing's body underwent a qualitative and quantitative change. Roar. With a dragon roar, Su Jing had broken through. This is the fourth sky of life and death realm? Su Jing felt that her strength had increased a lot. The dragon power of a giant dragon was somewhere between Zhen Yuan and Qi power. It was neither pure Qi power nor Zhen Yuan, but the unique dragon power of a giant dragon. This made the giant dragon very powerful. Not only could it have a powerful spirit body, but it also had some effects of Zhen Yuan. As her cultivation increased, the uniqueness of the dragon power became more and more obvious. Releasing her soul power, Su Jing sensed the commotion outside the cave. The existence of arrays and restrictions could isolate the soul power from scanning, but the people inside could still send their soul power out. Walking to the stone door, Su Jing waved her hand. Immediately, the stone door opened with a loud bang. Yi Chen. Su Jing greeted Yi Chen. You broke through. Grabbing Su Jing's hand, Yi Chen's eyes brightened. Su Jing faintly nodded and couldn't help but look at Chen Qinghai and Shi Tao. Indeed, a pure golden dragon. Chen Qinghai carefully sized up Su Jing and nodded from time to time. Su Jing's brows creased. She didn't like people commenting on her in front of her. Seeing Su Jing's expression change, Chen Qinghai knew he was being rude. He hurriedly said, I am Chen Qinghai, an elder of the Dragon Clan. This time, I am here to take you back to the Dragon Clan. In the Dragon Clan, you will improve much faster than before. Also, the Dragon Clan has many secret techniques of the Dragon Clan. After learning these secret techniques, you will be a true dragon. Sorry, I don't want to go now. Su Jing directly refused. Shi Tao didn't know why, but when he saw Su Jing, his heart beat very fast. Su Jing and Yi Chen were holding hands, which made him very uncomfortable. He said, In the Dragon Clan, there are other golden dragons. Don't you want to see them? I said, I don't want to go now. Su Jing repeated again. What's so good about this human? You don't even want to return to the Dragon Clan. You are a dragon, not a human. Only the Dragon Clan is where you belong. Shi Tao's voice grew louder. Yi Chen said, Didn't you hear me clearly? She doesn't want to go to the Dragon Clan for now. We can talk about this later. Shut up. Shi Tao exploded. Mind your words. Yi Chen was also a bit annoyed. Do you have the guts to compete with me? Don't worry, I will suppress my cultivation base to the fifth sky of life and death realm. I won't take advantage of you. Shi Tao stared at Yi Chen. All right. Yi Chen had nowhere to retreat. Otherwise, the opponent would continue to pester him. Chapter 1171. Shi Tao. Chen Qinghai transmitted his voice to Shi Tao. Elder, don't stop me. I have to fight him. Shi Tao thought that Chen Qinghai was going to stop him, so he said firmly. Chen Qinghai smiled bitterly. I'm not stopping you. I'm just telling you to be careful. His strength is not to be underestimated. Don't treat him like an ordinary fifth-layer life and death realm warrior. Don't worry. Don't you know my strength? Shi Tao was extremely confident. As a silver dragon, his spirit body had long since reached the seventh step. Combined with his silver dragon power, there weren't many in the same realm who could contend against him. Even if he suppressed his cultivation base to the fifth layer, he would still have the confidence to defeat most 7th layer life and death realm titled monarch. After all, his dragon race martial skills and tricks had nothing to do with his cultivation base. This place is too small. Let's fight in the starry sky. Sure Tao's figure flickered, piercing through the sky. Sure Tao's temperament is a bit fiery. I'll stop him at the critical moment. Chen Qinghai also thought that Sure Tao had a great chance of winning. What he meant was that when Yi Chen was in danger, he would stop Sure Tao, just in case Sure Tao accidentally hurt or kill Yi Chen, which would not be a good thing. Don't worry about that. I believe he can't hurt me, Yi Chen said indifferently. Alright. Chen Qinghai laughed heartily. With a flicker, he appeared in the starry sky. This could no longer be described as speed. This was teleportation, a true teleportation. 8th layer life and death realm heavenly kings were not only powerful in terms of attacking power, but also in terms of overall quality. Let's follow. Yi Chen pulled Su Jing's hand and activated his sword domain, soaring into the sky. Although he couldn't catch up to Chen Qinghai, he was still a bit faster than Sure Tao. Soon, the four arrived in the empty starry sky. The mysterious gravity star was very far away, so the shock waves of the battle wouldn't reach it. Tell me your name. I, Silver Dragon Emperor Sure Tao, will never defeat a nameless person. Sure Tao's body was shining with a silver radiance as if he was plated with a layer of silver. Even his eyes and hair were silver. His weapon was a pair of gloves. Dragon race's dragons were more proficient in claw and fist art. Yi Chen. Since Sure Tao had suppressed his cultivation by 2 levels, Yi Chen did not intend to use the Eternal Night Emperor sword. The silver snake treasured sword was sufficient. Yi Chen held the sword hilt with his right hand and said calmly, Yi Chen, good. Let the battle begin. Take my punch. Sure Tao didn't waste any more words. Silver flames erupted from his body, making him look like a silver sun. A fist emerged from the silver sun. At first, this fist was still 100 miles away, but in the next instant, it was only 3 meters away from Yi Chen. The huge silver fist seemed to fill up the heavens and earth, and there were runes on its surface. Xiao! Yi Chen turned into a beam of light, instantly disappearing from where he was standing. The silver fist hit nothing but air. The fist energy exploded, spreading all the way to the depths of the starry sky. When he reappeared, Yi Chen was less than 3 miles away from Sure Tao. He unsheathed the silver serpent sword and a snake-like sword chi shot out, coiling around Sure Tao's neck. So fast. Chen Qinghai was shocked. Yi Chen's speed just now was far from the speed of light. If he was given time to accelerate, he might be able to break through the barrier and reach the speed of light. Break for me. Sure Tao was ultimately not an ordinary person. He struck the silver serpent sword chi first. Clang, the silver serpent sword chi was extremely tough. It crazily moved and collided with Sure Tao's fist thousands of times. Finally, with a bang, it exploded into a ball of silver sparks. On the other hand, Sure Tao didn't expect the silver serpent sword chi to be so hard to deal with. He couldn't help but retreat 10 steps and was at a disadvantage. With an ashen complexion, Sure Tao angrily shouted, "Don't be complacent." Boom! Sure Tao punched out again. This time, a silver dragon-shaped force rushed out from Sure Tao's fist. Giant Dragon Fist. Rank 5 Sacred Dragon Fist. Sacred Dragon Fist was a secret martial art of the dragon race. Su Jing had used it before. Back then, Tyrannosaurus Yangting, who was ranked 2nd on the Heavenly King list, had also used it. The highest Sacred Dragon Fist that Su Jing had used was rank 2, and Tyrannosaurus Yangting had used rank 4. This Sure Tao was obviously a level higher, reaching rank 5. The Silver Dragon power, after being stimulated by rank 5 Sacred Dragon Fist, had directly evolved into a dragon-shaped force. Yi Chen could sense that the dragon-shaped force contained a unique profound, the profound of power. The profound of power involved the operation of the entire universe. Any object could only operate with power. Therefore, when the profound of power was perfected, it would surpass the profound of space. If a true body refinement king didn't touch upon the profound of power, then it would be a waste of cultivation. After all, body refinement kings were much weaker than other kings in other aspects. Not daring to be careless, Yi Chen raised the silver serpent sword in his right hand and heavily swung it. A flaming sword chi swept out. Peak Third Revolution Sword Art, True Inferno Sword. What? Peak Third Revolution Sword Art? Chen Qinghai was startled once again. He had roamed the starry sky for so many years, yet he had never seen a fifth-layer life and death realm martial artist create an extreme third revolution martial art. No wonder the opponent didn't seem to have any stage fright. Although it was slow, it was fast. The dragon-shaped chi collided with the flaming sword chi. Bang! As if two huge planets were colliding at an extreme speed, layers of ripples spread out. Each wave was higher and fiercer than the last, as if this place had turned into an ocean world. Eventually, the dragon-shaped chi and the flaming sword chi perished together. However, it was not over yet. The seemingly extinguished flaming sword chi suddenly surged out with a second wave of attack. The true Inferno sword's aftereffects had arrived. Caught off guard, Shi Tao had no time to dodge. With both of his arms crossed, his whole body was blown away. His body flickered with a silver light, and his face turned pale. Is this the profound of power? Yi Chen could feel that the opponent's power profound had greatly weakened the aftereffects of the burning sky shock power. It made sense, since everything involved the use of power, and the true Inferno sword was no exception. At the explosion site, the power profound was in chaos, so the aftereffects of the burning sky shock power would definitely be affected to a certain extent. Otherwise, the attacking power would be much more than this. Body-refining kings are indeed frightening. Most of the giant dragons of the dragon race were body-refining kings. Shi Tao flew back for more than 10,000 li before stopping. He coldly glanced at Yi Chen. Your sword art is not bad, but your attacking power is too weak. You don't even have the qualifications to scratch my itch. Really? You can try. I will try. The silver flame on Shi Tao's body grew even stronger, reaching the limit of the fifth sky of life and death realm. He was only one step away from the sixth. Shoo! A silver light shone as Shi Tao attacked at an extremely fast speed. 1 punch, 2 punches, 3 punches, 10 punches in total. 10 beams of silver dragon-shaped chi attacked toward Yi Chen from different angles. Yi Chen's expression remained unchanged. His right arm holding the silver snake sword started to turn illusory, as if he had suddenly grown 9 right arms. However, this was still nothing. The silver snake sword in Yi Chen's hand also started to change. Starting from the sword hilt, a layer of ink-like black spread to the sword tip, filled with a destructive sword intent. 7th Step Destruction Sword Intent activated. Chapter 1172. Sword Intent could turn the rotten into the miraculous, and the Destruction Sword Intent was even more so. Although this Silver Dragon Emperor had suppressed his cultivation base to the 5th layer of life and death realm, Yi Chen estimated that if he went berserk, he wouldn't be much weaker than the Dark Dragon Emperor who was battling the Fire Crystal Beast Emperor. One was a silver dragon, and the other was a dark dragon. Both were giant dragons. Of course, in terms of giant dragon rank, the silver dragon was a bit weaker. Like the gold dragon, the dark dragon was also a high-grade giant dragon. One sword for one, the 10 dragon-shaped chi dispersed one after another. The sword art containing the Destruction Sword Intent was no longer an ordinary sword art. It possessed the power of destruction. Go! 10 arms returning to one, Yi Chen slashed at Shi Tao. In the next moment, a dazzling black sword chi slashed out. Wherever it went, the temperature was astonishing, as if this sword chi was condensed from the essence of the sun. 3rd Revolution Extreme Sword Art, Sun Essence Extreme Transformation. Break for me. A bad premonition arose in Sher Tao's heart. He roared, and the silver chi around his body suddenly surged, reaching the 6th layer of life and death realm. As his realm increased, the power he grasped became even more powerful. The 5th step Sacred Dragon Fist was incomparably powerful, and a faint dragon roar could be heard. Shameless! Su Jing coldly snorted. Sher Tao had previously said that he would suppress his cultivation base to the 5th layer of life and death realm, but now, he was clearly breaking the rules. The silver dragon-shaped chi was vivid and lifelike, rushing out along Sher Tao's fist and colliding with the dazzling black sword chi. Clang 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 clang. Sparks flew everywhere, lighting up the starry sky within millions of li. A frightening shockwave mixed with black and silver radiated in every direction. An ordinary planet far away let out a few crisp sounds before exploding with a loud rumble. But before it could explode, it was blown away by the shockwave, disintegrating and sending dust everywhere. Creak! With great difficulty, the black sword chi cut open the body of the silver dragon-shaped chi. The dragon-shaped chi had been able to hold on for a while, but as soon as its body was cut open, it immediately became like a deflated balloon. Its power flowed for 1,000 miles, and with a boom, it dissipated. The black sword chi was free, and in a flash, it appeared in front of Sher Tao. How is this possible? Sher Tao's face turned pale with fright. With his 6th sky of life and death realm cultivation base, even a 3-star general would not dare to block his 5th step Saint Dragon Fist. Yet, his opponent had actually broken through it with brute force. Moreover, this sword chi contained the destruction sword intent could even ignore his power profound, which could greatly reduce the power of his opponent's ace attack. There was no time to think about why. Sher Tao crossed his arms again, wanting to block this sword chi. Boom! The black sword chi exploded and shattered. Countless tiny sword chi shot towards Sher Tao. Sher Tao's silver flames were forcibly sliced apart, and he had to endure the torture of 1,000 cuts. However, Sher Tao was still a 7th layer life and death realm monarch, even if he was suppressed by 1 layer. Not only did he have a 7th step spirit body, his physical defense was astonishing, and he was also wearing a peak-level Emperor-grade armor. The destruction sword chi couldn't injure him, and at most, it could make him look a little embarrassed. However, this was a spar, not a life and death battle. If he was at a disadvantage, then he was at a disadvantage. There was no reason to argue. When the might of the sword chi dissipated, Sher Tao had already retreated more than 10,000 li. From the beginning until now, he had never gained the upper hand, even after raising his cultivation base to the 6th sky of life and death realm. On his tall and sturdy body, tiny, snake-like black sword chi roamed about, appearing exceptionally nimble. Sword chi containing the destruction sword intent was not so easy to remove. It would attach itself to the opponent's body, and as long as the opponent was the slightest bit careless, the sword chi would pierce through and wreak havoc inside. To remove the destruction sword chi, martial will and one's own energy were both indispensable. Roar! His arms violently shook as Sher Tao raised his realm to the limit. Swish! 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 Waves of destruction sword chi were forced out by a formidable force, shooting out like sharp arrows. 10,000 li away, Yi Chen did not make a move. He believed that the result was obvious. If the opponent had kept his word, this spar would have already been decided. Sheathing the silver serpent sword, Yi Chen said to Su Jing, "Let's go." In the future, he would pay a visit to the Dragon Clan with Su Jing, but not now. In any case, they still had a long life ahead of them, and there was no need to be impatient. "What? Do you admit defeat?" Sher Tao said with a loud voice. Yi Chen turned his head and said, "You are the one who lost. You know it very well." "Humph. I admit that I underestimated you, but you also did not injure me. If it was a life and death battle, So what if I fell into a disadvantageous position for a while? The one who laughs in the end will be the real winner. Shi Tao was a bit sullen. If he had known that Yi Chen was this powerful, he would not have said the words of limiting cultivation base. Now, he was just shooting himself in the foot. What do you want? Yi Chen asked. A real battle has no time limit. The loser will listen to the winner. Of course, I won't let you die. Shi Tao said coldly. You really have a good plan. Yi Chen's expression was unsightly. His opponent was a silver dragon, and coupled with a top-tier overlord armor, it was almost impossible for Yi Chen to injure him. Yi Chen's cultivation base was 2 levels lower, and his armor was only a high-tier overlord armor. His defense was naturally far from his opponent. In the end, Yi Chen would definitely lose. This was something that couldn't be helped. Many times, even if one's combat strength was about the same, it didn't mean that one couldn't win. What if I don't agree? Yi Chen wasn't stupid. He wouldn't restrict himself. Facing such an opponent, he would choose to leave. With his speed, it would be hard for him to catch up. Yi Chen was worried about Elder Chen Qinghai. Chen Qinghai could teleport, which was a very terrifying ability. You have to agree even if you don't want to. The silver flames on Shi Tao's body surged. He stood there like a silver sun. Enough. At this moment, Chen Qinghai spoke. Elder. Shi Tao looked at Chen Qinghai. Enough, let them leave. We will return. Chen Qinghai waved his hand. But Shi Tao's expression changed. Chen Qinghai glared at him. Have you forgotten what the higher-ups told you? They told you to listen to everything I say. What, you don't even listen to me? Shi Tao wouldn't dare. You can leave. But I hope that you will consider this. This lady is a member of our dragon race, and we have very few members. We won't mistreat her, Chen Qinghai said to Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded. Actually, it's not that we can't talk about this. But first, both sides must be equal. Remember not to bring him here next time. Yi Chen was sure that the dragon race would send a second group. He didn't want Shi Tao to be among them. This dragon was too arrogant and looked down on everyone. You. Shi Tao could hear the contempt in Yi Chen's voice. All right. Chen Qinghai nodded. He also felt that he had used the wrong method. Mainly, he wasn't too happy that the gold dragon's partner wasn't a dragon. Let's go. Chen Qinghai grabbed Shi Tao's shoulder. With a flash, they disappeared. Let's go too. Yi Chen and Su Jing flew towards the mystic gravity planet together. Chapter 1173. On the mysterious gravity star, Murong Qinqing had yet to exit her seclusion. In terms of foundation, Murong Qinqing was still a bit weaker than Su Jing. Su Jing was a golden dragon, and she could enter life and death realm upon reaching adulthood. This kind of solid foundation was not something Murong Qinqing, who had the bloodline of the Dark Witch, could compare to. Unless Murong Qinqing could truly become the Dark Witch, the situation might be reversed, and the Golden Dragon would be even weaker than the Dark Witch. Let's go back first. Yi Chen said to Su Jing. Sister Qinqing should be able to break through to the 4th layer in a few days. Su Jing nodded. Leaving the mysterious gravity star, Yi Chen took out the phantom and the two entered. Shua. The phantom's speed continued to increase until it finally disappeared into the void. Fiery star, fiery city. The phantom stopped in the air above the fiery city lord mansion. As the phantom was put away, Yi Chen and Su Jing entered the mansion together. Awoof! A cheerful wolf howl resounded as a red shadow pounced at Yi Chen. Little wolf. The red shadow was Yi Chen's spirit beast, the dream-eating wolf. Ever since he became the fiery city lord, Yi Chen had placed the dream-eating wolf in the mansion, letting it guard the mansion. Although the dream-eating wolf had long since become a demonic beast king, it had never been able to transform. Yi Chen finally understood that the dream-eating wolf should be a strange beast in the universe similar to the giant star beast. It could not transform at all, and could only appear as a demonic beast for the rest of its life. Of course, this was only Yi Chen's speculation. In fact, there had been giant star beasts that could transform in the past, and each of them had monstrous strength comparable to peak supremes. Caressing the dream-eating wolf's head, Yi Chen smiled. Train hard and become a demonic beast emperor as soon as possible. Who knows, you might be able to transform after that. Master, it doesn't matter to me whether or not I can transform. My aesthetic view is different from yours. Dream-eating wolf didn't mind his appearance. Hee, that's true. Yi Chen realized that his first impression was the strongest. The city lord's mansion was very big, not inferior to a huge city. There were lakes, mountains, continuous buildings, and even a large grassland. There was enough space for everyone to have their own courtyard, the only difference being the size. However, the most important thing about the city lord's mansion was not these. The most important thing was the countless arrays and restrictions. Only with these arrays and restrictions could the city lord's mansion not be attacked. Otherwise, no matter how good the place was, it would be nothing more than a clay chicken and pottery dog. On the grassland of the city lord mansion, Yi Chen was practicing the space profound sword technique, momentary brilliance. Among the 3/3 revolution peak sword techniques, instant of glory could be said to be the sword technique that had followed Yi Chen the longest. Ever since he created it, he had been using it ever since. This was partly due to the space profound, but it was also due to the momentary brilliance sword technique itself. It should be known that the sword technique itself was not good, and there was a limit to the profoundness it could contain. How could the foresight and creativity of many years ago compare to the present? However, momentary brilliance sword technique was different. This was a sword technique that had the ability to continuously improve. From the meaning of the name, momentary brilliance pursued a momentary brilliance, regardless of anything else. Therefore, its charm could not be increased anymore. At most, it could increase the technique a little. This was also the main reason why it could follow Yi Chen all this time. After his space profound reached 90%, momentary brilliance needed to be further improved. Puff, puff, puff. He brandished it in a simple manner and stabbed it forward. At the tip of the sword, brilliant light blossomed. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the brilliant light was incomparably mysterious. It seemed to contain a massive star within it, and when its power erupted, the massive star would explode and bloom with its final splendor. Not enough. Yi Chen could feel that the sword intent had not been used up. In other words, this sword was not mature enough. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. In the blink of an eye, 1 month had passed, and 3 weeks had passed. Yi Chen's improvement was very small. Letting out a heavy breath, Yi Chen stopped using the sword technique. Looks like I still need an opportunity. Sheathing the silver serpent sword, Yi Chen walked towards Su Jing's cultivation area. On the other side of the grassland, Su Jing was punching again and again. The wind from her punches surged, turning into golden dragon-shaped chi that swept in all directions. It could be seen that Su Jing did not use her dragon force or martial intent. Otherwise, the power would not be so little. 3rd level Sacred Dragon Fist? Yi Chen seemed to have noticed something. Clearly, Shi Tao's 5th Order Sacred Dragon Fist had given Su Jing some inspiration. She had taken the 2nd Order Sacred Dragon Fist's foundation one step further and created her 3rd Order Sacred Dragon Fist. Although she still didn't know if this 3rd Order Sacred Dragon Fist was authentic, she had taken this step and her battle prowess had multiplied. Su Jing's comprehension is also very good. Yi Chen revealed a smile on his face. Yi Chen. Su Jing noticed Yi Chen and stopped. This is the 3rd level Sacred Dragon Fist, right? Yi Chen asked. Su Jing nodded. There's a huge gap between the 2nd and 5th Order Sacred Dragon Fist, but the fist intent is the same. I can't deduce the 4th Order Sacred Dragon Fist, but I can do the 3rd Order. In a few days, the Dragon Race's 2nd batch of envoys should arrive. I'll have a good talk with them then. The dragon race was located in the Azure Dragon Star region, and it would take a lot of time to go back and forth. And on the desolate star of Elysium, Su Jing had already comprehended the profound meaning of power to a very high level. Although she did not know the fist intent of the sacred dragon fist like the back of her hand, she was at least familiar with it. Otherwise, she would not have been able to deduce the third-level sacred dragon fist after seeing it once. Once she obtained the fist intent behind the sacred dragon fist, not to mention the top 10 of the Heavenly King list, she would have a high chance of getting first place. Su Jing did not say anything. In fact, if the other party was not so overbearing, there was no harm in going. She also wanted to see those dragons like her. How could Yi Chen not see through Su Jing's thoughts? He muttered, "I'll go back to the God Paradise first. If nothing unexpected happens, I'll be back in half a month." He planned to break through to the sixth life and death realm. The purity and density of Zhen Yuan between the fifth and sixth life and death realm were about 10 times higher. Once he broke through, his strength would increase greatly. At that time, he would be able to control the Eternal Night Emperor Sword and the immemorial Qi armor. With a stronger strength, he would at least have more confidence. "Yeah, don't worry. I'll go to the mysterious gravity star often to see if Sister Qingqing has come out." Su Jing seemed to know what Yi Chen was thinking. On the same day, Yi Chen returned to the God Paradise. On the second floor of the Tower of Time, Yi Chen sat cross-legged and tried his best to circulate Zhen Yuan again and again, each time a bit faster than the previous one. Yi Chen's foundation of the fifth life and death realm was already very solid. In the past few years, he had often used the Tower of Time to temper his Zhen Yuan. This time, after encountering the remnant fist intent of the Supreme in the core area of the Black Tortoise Ruins, Yi Chen's Zhen Yuan and mental power had been tempered once again. At this moment, he already had 100% chance of breaking through to the sixth life and death realm. Chapter 1174. 100 days in the Time Tower was 1 day in the outside world. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed in the Time Tower, but only 8 days had passed in the outside world. On this day, Yi Chen's body shone with an intense cyan light. This cyan light was so bright that Yi Chen's entire body looked like a shining cyan sun. Within the cyan light, an extremely frightening power was brewing and rising. "I'm about to break through." Yi Chen waved his hand, and a stream of yuan stones flew out of his storage ring, hovering above Yi Chen's head. In the next moment, the surging yuan stone energy poured into Yi Chen's body through his Baihui meridian. 100,000, 300,000, 500,000, 1,000,000. Breaking through to the sixth sky of life and death realm required a huge amount of yuan stones. 1,000,000 yuan stones was like a drop in the bucket. 2,000,000, 3,000,000, 5,000,000, 7,000,000. When the number of yuan stones reached 8,000,000, Yi Chen finally broke through. Buzz! A huge cyan lotus formed above Yi Chen's head, slowly rotating. Only Yi Chen knew why there was a huge lotus above his head. It was because his green lotus sword spell had reached the peak of Heaven Realm from high-rank Heaven Realm. Martial arts and secret arts were not the same. After top-rank Heaven Realm secret arts, there were Heavenly King secret arts, Emperor secret arts, and even Emperor secret arts. Secret arts were similar to martial arts, and had a lot of room for improvement. However, after top-rank Heaven Realm martial arts, it was basically the peak. After that, there were only supreme martial arts. Supreme martial arts contained the mysteries of the universe. Under normal circumstances, only supreme martial artists could create them. The strength of supreme martial artists lay in being the strongest in every aspect. When combined, it was simply unparalleled, looking down on the universe. After his green lotus sword spell reached the peak of Heaven Realm, Yi Chen realized that his Zhen Yuan was even more like Sword Yuan, being shockingly pure. This was also the reason why he spent 8,000,000 yuan stones to break through. Of course, Yi Chen did not lack yuan stones. 8 million yuan stones was just a drop in the ocean for him. However, it was a lot for others. Many solitary kings relied on accumulating wealth over the years to accumulate so much. Otherwise, how could they have so many yuan stones? Moreover, the Zhen yuan consumed in each battle had to be quickly recovered with yuan stones. For example, if Yi Chen's Zhen yuan was exhausted, he would have to spend more than 8 million yuan stones to recover his Zhen yuan. This was not a small number. Without tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of yuan stones, one would not dare to continuously fight. In short, life and death realm first and second layer heavenly kings were the poorest. Some of them might not even be able to take out several thousand yuan stones. Life and death realm third and fourth layer heavenly kings were normal, and they might be able to take out several tens of thousands of yuan stones. As for fifth and sixth layer heavenly kings, their wealth was very unstable, ranging from hundreds of thousands of yuan stones to millions of yuan stones. This was because they had spent countless years to reach this realm, which was enough for them to slowly accumulate a lot of wealth. Of course, other sixth-layer kings were different from Yi Chen. They estimated that they had spent less than 1,000,000 yuan stones to break through to the sixth layer. Yi Chen's Zhen yuan was much more vigorous and pure than theirs. Top heaven realm martial arts were not something to be trifled with. In short, people could not be compared with each other. A dozen years ago, Yi Chen's wealth was only a few 100,000 yuan, which was earned from selling king-grade battleships and supreme-grade swords. Now, he could casually spend hundreds of millions, so he did not feel too much pain. Standing up, Yi Chen walked out of the Time Tower. Leaving the God Paradise on the God ship, Yi Chen did not directly go to the mysterious gravity star. If Murong Qingqing succeeded in breaking through, she would definitely return to Inferno Flower City. If not, it would be useless to go there now. It would be better to return as soon as possible, lest he be absent when the Dragon Clan emissary arrived. Returning to Inferno Flower City, as expected, Murong Qingqing had not returned. She was probably still in seclusion. Master! Leng Xinghan was about to leave when he bumped into Yi Chen. What are you going out for? Yi Chen asked. I've joined a team to explore the Whirlwind Secret Realm. We're leaving today. Whirlwind Secret Realm. Yi Chen had heard of the Whirlwind Secret Realm before. It was not too dangerous, but it was still dangerous for kings at or below the third sky of life and death realm. Of course, he would not stop Leng Xinghan. Geniuses needed to be polished before they could shine. Yi Chen was rather strict with his 4 disciples. He only gave each of them 100,000 yuan stones, and after they used it up, they would have to earn more. Only after they reached the third sky of life and death realm would he give them more. Be careful, people are unpredictable. Yi Chen faintly nodded. Master's teachings are correct. Disciple understands. Leng Xinghan was not a newbie. Although he could not compare to Yi Chen, who had experienced hundreds of battles, he was still outstanding. He would not be easily deceived and fall into danger. On the prairie, Su Jing was practicing the third step Sacred Dragon Fist. Compared to a week ago, Su Jing's third step Sacred Dragon Fist was much more skillful, and her fist intent was astonishing. You're back? Su Jing stopped. Is there still no one from the Dragon Clan? Su Jing shook her head. No rush, they should be here soon. It was impossible for the Dragon Clan to give up on Su Jing. The importance of a golden dragon was obvious. It was enough to become the pillar of the Dragon Clan. In the following days, Yi Chen stayed in the City Lord's mansion and learned more about the situation of the Yi clan and the Falling Dust Sword sect. Regarding Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao, Yi Chen's feelings were quite complicated. They could be considered geniuses, and as long as they were tempered, they would certainly have some accomplishments in the future. However, Yi Chen was also afraid that they would fall during their training. This was quite possible, as not every genius could walk to the end. 90% of them died on the path of advancement. Therefore, Yi Chen didn't know whether to let Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao work hard or live a peaceful life. Of course, with their potential, breaking through to the life and death realm would not be a problem. It was just a matter of time. As for the Falling Dust Sword sect, Zhang Haoran had been working very hard. He was often not in the city lord's mansion, and was not there at the moment. Everyone had their own ambitions, and Yi Chen knew that Zhang Haoran would not be satisfied with being ordinary. Everyone yearned for a glorious future. On the other hand, Lu Hanshan and Zhu Mei felt that their current days were quite good. They did not have any extravagant expectations, as long as they could break through to the life and death realm and have a lifespan of 100,000 years, then watch their descendants grow up slowly. Moreover, in the Falling Dust Sword sect, they did not have to worry about their own survival. Another week passed in a flash, and the city lord's mansion was very peaceful. Two figures appeared on the star teleportation formation closest to planet Fiery Flame. One was Chen Qinghai, and the other was a white-haired old man. The old man had a benevolent look on his face, and a faint smile could be seen on his face. It was as if he had experienced the vicissitudes of life, and was looking at the world with a smile. "Little guy, we will meet soon. I wonder how much you have grown? I am looking forward to it." Chapter 1175. In a pavilion on a high mountain, Yi Chen raised his head and gazed at the starry sky. Vaguely, he felt that someone important had arrived. He knew this person, and their relationship was not shallow. Who could it be? Putting down his cup, Yi Chen stood up. On the prairie, Su Jing also sensed something and stopped her third step, Sacred Dragon Fist. "Su Jing, let's go welcome the guests." Beside Su Jing, Yi Chen's figure appeared. Pulling Su Jing's hand, the two walked out of the mansion and flew into the sky. Not long after, two figures flew over from the distant horizon. "This is Yi Chen," and Su Jing's faces revealed pleasant surprise. Close. As the silhouettes got closer and closer, Yi Chen and Su Jing could finally see their faces clearly. One was the dragon elder Chen Qinghai, whom they had met half a month ago, and the other was a white-haired, benevolent-looking old man with a familiar smile. "Senior Dragon King." "Master." Yi Chen and Su Jing went up to greet them. "Little guy, disciple, long time no see." Dragon King laughed heartily and increased his speed. Chen Qinghai kept pace with him, neither too fast nor too slow. Finally, the two sides met. "Senior Dragon King, I knew you wouldn't die so easily." "Just as I expected." Yi Chen sized up Dragon King. Apart from his cultivation base increasing by a lot, reaching the 6th layer of life and death realm, Dragon King didn't seem to have changed much. In a flash, 20 years had passed. Meeting again, Yi Chen couldn't hide his joy. Dragon King's contributions couldn't go unnoticed in Yi Chen's growth. It could be said that Dragon King and Su Anho had created half of Yi Chen. "Master." Su Jing stood beside Dragon King obediently. Dragon King sized up Su Jing and Yi Chen. "Good, you've grown much better than I imagined. What's wrong? Aren't you going to invite me in?" Dragon King joked. "Senior Dragon King, this way please." Yi Chen invited Dragon King and Chen Qinghai into the mansion of the governor. In a pavilion on a high mountain, a gentle breeze blew gently and white clouds floated around. The stone table was filled with all kinds of top-grade fruits. Yi Chen filled Dragon King's and Chen Qinghai's cups and sat down. The Dragon King took a sip of wine and said, "The fact that all of you are here means that the crisis of Elysium has been resolved." "Yes." Yi Chen nodded. "Although you won't say it, I know that you must have doubts in your hearts. Since I'm still alive, why didn't I bring people to rescue Elysium?" Yi Chen said, "There must be a reason why Senior Dragon King didn't do that. Yi Chen won't make wild guesses." The Dragon King smiled and turned to Su Jing. "Little girl, you've finally transformed into a real dragon. This is all thanks to Master." Su Jing replied. The Dragon King waved his hand. "I just did what I should do. It's not my credit." However, you still have to return to the dragon clan. There's no reason for a dragon not to return. This person beside me is Elder Chen Qinghai of the Dragon Clan. You've already met him before, so there's no need for further introductions. Yi Chen asked, Senior Dragon King, why are you with Elder Chen? Are you also from the Dragon Clan? He remembered that Senior Dragon King wasn't a dragon. He just had the bloodline of a flood dragon. Chen Qinghai explained, the flood dragon is also a member of the Dragon Clan. It's impossible for everyone in the Dragon Clan to be dragons. Dragons are too rare, and golden dragons are even rarer. Yes. The Dragon King nodded. I have the bloodline of a flood dragon, so I joined the Dragon Clan. Speaking of joining the Dragon Clan, I'll have to start from the path of death. Yi Chen and Su Jing didn't say anything. They just listened quietly. Back then, with my strength, I charged into the path of death with no chance of survival. However, since I dared to do so, I naturally made preparations. This preparation was a dragon scale. This scale came from the body of a supreme dragon, and it contains the power of the supreme dragon. It's mysterious and unfathomable. Even after so many years, its power hasn't weakened at all. Yi Chen listened attentively. The Supreme Dragon was naturally a ninth-layer life and death realm dragon, and the dragon scale on the body of the Supreme Dragon possessed a mysterious power. It was easy to understand. This dragon scale should have come from the little girl's relative. Perhaps her father or perhaps her mother. I'm not too sure either. Back then, I sensed that the aura on the little girl's body was very similar to that of the dragon scale. That's why I suspected her identity and brought her back to the Dragon God's celestial palace. The Dragon King explained. So that's how it is. Yi Chen suddenly saw the light. No wonder the Dragon King knew Su Jing's identity. It turned out to be a dragon scale. It should be known that Su Jing was no different from a human. Even if she was a real human, Senior Dragon King wouldn't be able to see through Su Jing's identity at once, unless he was a supreme. Su Jing's complexion changed. She had always wanted to know her origin. However, after hearing the Dragon King's words, she knew that she would have to find out herself in the future. The experts guarding the death path were much stronger than me. They destroyed my body in an instant. Fortunately, I had already condensed a drop of blood essence on the dragon scale. Under my stimulation, the dragon scale stealthily broke out of the death path and escaped. Afterward, I was reborn from a drop of blood and slowly recovered. However, the starry sky was boundless and I didn't know where to go. After drifting for several years, I discovered that the dragon scale was reacting to a certain direction. So, I carried the dragon scale and rushed in that direction. Along the way, I discovered a new use of the dragon scale. It turned out that the dragon scale could carry me through the void at an astonishing speed. Just like that, after several years, I found the place where the dragon scale was reacting to. That place was the life planet of the Azure Dragon Starfield's dragon race. At this point, the Dragon King paused for a moment, raised his glass and took a sip of wine. When I arrived at the life planet of the dragon race, 10 years had passed. Because I have the blood of the flood dragon in me, the dragon race recognized my identity, and I became a member of the dragon race. Worried about the safety of Elysium, I reported to the higher-ups of the dragon race, hoping that they would send people to rescue Elysium. However, later I realized that I didn't know where Elysium was, and no one knew the direction of Elysium. It was as if this was a forgotten world. Forgotten. Yi Chen was deep in thought. Generally, the inhabited worlds of the human race were near the 4 major life star regions. Elysium was indeed too far away. It was millions of light years away, very far away. Without the positioning of the battleship, he wouldn't have been able to find where Elysium was. The more Yi Chen thought about it, the more reasonable it seemed. The demons and the other alien races must have found out about the existence of Elysium by chance, while the human race didn't know about it. Otherwise, why didn't the human race send people to support it? Fortunately, Elysium is still lucky after all. I can breathe a sigh of relief now that you've come out. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to rest in peace for the rest of my life. The Dragon King sighed with emotion, and then a look of relief appeared on his face. Chapter 1176. Then, the Dragon King said that he had accidentally heard about the birth of a golden dragon, and it was a woman. The Dragon King had a strong premonition that this golden dragon should be Su Jing. After all, there were only so many golden dragons in the Dragon Clan, and they could be counted with 2 hands. How could it be so easy to find an unknown golden dragon in the outside world? Therefore, he had volunteered to come with Chen Qinghai. Along the way, Chen Qinghai described Yi Chen and Su Jing's appearances, and Dragon King was even more certain of his premonition. This is the Supreme Dragon Scale. It's time to return it to its rightful owner. As he spoke, Dragon King took out a palm-sized golden dragon scale. Although it was small, its supreme dragon chi couldn't be concealed. Vaguely, Yi Chen seemed to see an immeasurably long divine dragon shuttling through the universe. Wherever it went, stars would fall, and the sun and moon would lose their radiance. Su Jing could sense the dragon chi within the golden dragon scale. However, she shook her head. "Master, this is your dragon scale. I can't take it." Su Jing didn't think that Dragon King should hand over the supreme dragon scale, even if it might have belonged to her parents. After all, if her parents wanted to leave something for her, they had many ways to do so. Clearly, this dragon scale wasn't meant for her. Dragon King smiled bitterly. "Don't decline. I'm a bit embarrassed." Dragon King smiled bitterly. "Don't decline. Speaking of which, I'm still a bit embarrassed. Back then, I relied on the Supreme Dragon Scale to escape. After my blood drop rebirth, a part of the scale's power integrated into my essence blood. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to reach the 6th sky of life and death realm so quickly. In addition, the Dragon Transformation Pond's power also originates from the Supreme Dragon Scale. Right now, there's not much power left in the Supreme Dragon Scale. The reason why I'm giving it to you is not only because it has a great relationship with you, but also because it's the key to finding your kin. I've asked around, but there's no one in the dragon race." At this time, Chen Qinghai also said, "Many years ago, a supreme of our dragon clan went missing, and there has been no news of him until now. I think he must have gone to the Elysium you speak of, and left you there. As for where he went, no one knows." This was a secret of the Dragon Clan, and very few people knew about it. Chen Qinghai didn't know about it at first, and only found out about it after returning this time. "Take it." Yi Chen nodded to Su Jing. Stretching out her hands, Su Jing received the Supreme Dragon Scale. Buzz. The Supreme Dragon Scale shone brightly, forming an unbreakable connection with Su Jing's draconic aura. A majestic phantom of a giant golden dragon appeared, staring at Su Jing. "Father." Faintly, Su Jing knew that this was her father's aura, and her eyes became a little moist. The phantom of the giant golden dragon didn't say anything. With a whoosh, it rapidly shrank back into the golden dragon scale. In the next moment, the golden light on the golden dragon scale retracted, and it returned to its original state. Then, a shocking scene occurred. The golden dragon scale fused into Su Jing's palm, and in the end, it turned into a golden dragon scale imprint, looking extremely lifelike. Seeing this scene, the Dragon King fell into deep thought. Although this supreme dragon scale had first fallen into his hands, no matter what he did, he couldn't fuse with it. It seemed like the supreme dragon scale was only a transition in his hands, and it was only in Su Jing's hands that it was truly complete. Also, he felt as if a large stone had been lifted from his heart. Regarding the Supreme Dragon Scale, the Dragon King's feelings were actually very complicated. The existence of the Supreme Dragon Scale was a huge burden, causing his progress to be slow. But also because of the Supreme Dragon Scale, he could break through the shackles in Elysium, and didn't die even after 1,000 years. In the end, it even helped him break through the path of death and come to the Dragon Clan. Originally, the Dragon King planned to wait until Su Jing became a true golden dragon before handing over the supreme dragon scale, but he didn't live to see that day. Now, it was finally returned to its rightful owner. Handing over the supreme dragon scale to you can be considered as relieving one of my worries. Now, let's talk about returning to the Dragon Clan, the Dragon King said seriously to Su Jing and Yi Chen. Yi Chen said, "We still don't know much about the Dragon Clan. Senior Dragon King, can you tell us about it? Perhaps you have some misunderstandings about the Dragon Clan, but I've lived in the Dragon Clan for nearly 10 years. I can feel that the Dragon Clan advocates freedom. We won't lose our freedom just because we join the Dragon Clan. Freedom is the true essence of the Dragon Clan. If we lose our freedom, we will no longer be the Dragon Clan. You can rest assured on this point," the Dragon King explained. "Indeed, the Dragon Clan advocates freedom very much. The entire universe knows this." Chen Qinghai nodded at the side. This time, the Dragon Clan's higher-ups had instructed them to let the Dragon King be the leader. He only needed to cooperate with the Dragon King. Yi Chen and Su Jing naturally believed the Dragon King's word. Yi Chen continued, "Then can the giant dragons marry humans?" It was impossible for him to give up on Su Jing. Su Jing blushed. "Theoretically, such a thing can't happen," Chen Qinghai said truthfully. Hearing this, Yi Chen looked at the Dragon King. The Dragon King nodded and said, "Theoretically, it is indeed impossible for the giant dragons to marry outsiders. But your situation is different." "How is it different?" the Dragon King said. "The reason why the giant dragons can't marry outsiders is not because there is a hard and fast rule. The giant dragons are different from other demonic beasts. The giant dragons will only be attracted to the giant dragons. There is a slight possibility that the flood dragons will also be attracted to them, but it is impossible for them to be attracted to humans or other races. However, before this little girl transformed into a golden giant dragon, she was a human. That's why she developed feelings for you. In this case, the situation is naturally different. Don't worry, the Dragon Clan does not have a hard and fast rule. It is completely up to them to choose their own partners. However, your case is too special. You should know that in the history of the Dragon Clan, there has not been a case of a giant dragon marrying an outsider for countless years. The Dragon Clan will not object? This was a pleasant surprise. Yes, true freedom naturally includes choosing a partner. At that time, Shi Tao and I were too shocked, so we lost our composure. Chen Qinghai smiled bitterly. Yi Chen and Su Jing looked at each other. They were very happy. "Then when do you plan to go to the Dragon Clan?" In fact, Chen Qinghai hoped that Yi Chen and Su Jing would go to the Dragon Clan immediately. Yi Chen transmitted his voice to Su Jing. "Why don't you go first? I will go after Qingqing comes out of seclusion. Let's go together." Su Jing shook her head. Yi Chen frowned slightly. "Let's wait for another month. If Qingqing still hasn't come out of seclusion in a month, you can go to the Dragon Clan first. The earlier you go, the earlier you can learn the sacred Dragon Fist and other Dragon Clan martial arts." In the end, only Chen Qinghai left. Yi Chen and Su Jing decided to go after some time, probably within a month. As for the Dragon King, he naturally stayed in the city lord's mansion to catch up. The only pity was that Su Anho had been away for more than a year. No one knew where she went. Time passed quickly. On the 16th day, Murong Qingqing finally came out of seclusion. This also meant that everyone was about to set off for the Dragon Clan of the Azure Dragon Star Field. Chapter 1177. Through the astral teleportation array, the four arrived at the Azure Dragon Star region. Of course, arriving at the Azure Dragon Star region did not mean that they had arrived at the Dragon Race. The planet where the Dragon Race resided was called the Azure Dragon Star region. It was the core life planet of the Azure Dragon Star region, and also the largest life planet. The closest astral teleportation array to the Azure Dragon star region was 2,000 light-years away. With the speed of an Emperor-class warship, it would take about 4 hours to arrive. After 4 hours, the four finally saw the Azure Dragon star region. There's actually such a big planet. What the four of them saw was an incomparably huge cyan planet. Compared to it, the flame star was simply a tiny speck. The Dragon King said, "The Azure Dragon star is a level 9 life planet. The distance between the two poles is more than 1 billion miles. Oceans and lakes occupy 40% of the planet's surface and 60% of the land." A level 9 life planet was the highest level of life planet. There were not many of them in the 4 major star regions. However, with a diameter of more than 1 billion miles, it was huge. The Azure Dragon star seemed to be in front of them, but the four flew for a long time before they arrived above it. The entire Azure Dragon star was very green. As far as the eye could see, there was green everywhere. Green mountains, green forests, green grasslands, green valleys. However, Yi Chun found that the plants on the Azure Dragon star were unbelievably huge. Even the grass was 10 meters or even dozens of meters tall. The trees in the forests towered into the sky. Ordinary trees that were more than 10,000 meters tall were terrifyingly thick. A single leaf on their branches could even be used to build a house. There were also some tall trees sparsely scattered on the grasslands. In addition, there were all kinds of dragon race monsters living on the Azure Dragon planet. There were Tyrannosaurus-like earth dragons, single-horned dragon snakes that had the bloodline of flood dragons, winged dragons with wings on their backs, and purebred flood dragons that lived in lakes. A primordial aura wafted over, shocking everyone. Of course, the dragon race was not entirely made up of dragon race monsters. There were many other monsters. This was a world of monsters, and there were no real humans. Roar, roar. In a huge valley, an earth dragon was fighting with a horned dragon snake. The earth dragon was extremely strong, and its claws and teeth were sharp. The horned dragon snake was also quite strong. Its tail kept lashing out, and its body wrapped around the earth dragon. However, in the end, the earth dragon was slightly better, and it bit the horned dragon snake's body. Beside the lake, a green flood dragon suddenly jumped out and bit the back of a raging bull, dragging it into the water. As expected of the dragon race, Yi Chun felt that the environment here was very good. It had a primitive flavor and the strong preyed on the weak. Due to the powerful aura exuding from Yi Chen's group of 4 and the addition of the golden dragon aura from Su Jing's body, these low-level dragon clan demonic beasts and other demonic beasts didn't dare to get too close. Even the winged dragon, the hegemon of the sky, chose to take a detour. "In front of us is the dragon country." Dragon King pointed at the continuous city wall 1,000 li ahead. The city wall was 10,000 meters tall, and its entire body was bronze in color, as if it was made of bronze. It stretched all the way to the horizon. Yi Chun opened his soul eye to take a look and found that the length of the city wall was exactly 300 million li compared to the entire Azure Dragon star. It was not that big. However, if it were to be placed on an ordinary life planet, it would be able to cover several planets. After Dragon King's explanation, everyone realized that the dragon country was the core of the dragon race. Only demonic beasts of the dragon race could enter. Swish, swish. Suddenly, 2 figures appeared out of thin air in front of the 4 of them. Teleportation. They were 2 eighth Sky of Life and Death Realm Emperor warriors. One was wearing a golden armor, tall and sturdy, about 40 years old. The other was wearing a dark golden robe, with no facial hair on his face. He looked to be about 60 years old. Both of them had golden pupils, and the aura coming from their bodies was very similar to Su Jing's. However, it was thousands of times more powerful. Their gazes immediately landed on Su Jing's body. The tall and sturdy man was pleasantly surprised. It is indeed a golden dragon. There is not a trace of impurity. No, it is even purer than I imagined. It is so pure that it is dazzling. I am the descendant of the golden dragon sovereign. Naturally, I have the purest golden dragon bloodline. The old man in the dark golden robe seemed much calmer, but he couldn't help but reveal a faint smile on his face. Golden River Elder, Golden Armor Elder. Dragon King cupped his fists toward the two. Golden River Elder and Golden Armor Elder were the elders of the dragon race. Their titles were Golden River Dragon Emperor and Golden Armor Dragon Emperor. Their status was much higher than Qin Qinghai's, because they were true golden dragons. Comparing golden dragons and bronze dragons, golden dragons were naturally more prestigious. Golden River Dragon Emperor was the old man in dark golden robe. He waved his hand and said to Su Jing, "Little girl, what is your name?" Su Jing. Su Jing replied, "Hee, little girl Su Jing, welcome to my Golden Dragon clan. Including you, we have 9 members." Golden dragons were very rare, and every one of them was very precious. Perhaps it was because of the golden dragon chi on his body that Su Jing felt very close. She said sincerely, "I am very happy to contribute to the golden dragon bloodline." "Good." Golden River Dragon Emperor smiled. "Golden River, hurry up and bring her to the main hall. Let those guys see our new member," Golden Armor Dragon Emperor said impatiently. "Everyone, follow us." This time, the two of them didn't teleport and led the way. After crossing the city wall, the 6 of them entered the country of dragons. Yi Chen discovered that other than the many tall buildings in the country of dragons, there was no difference from the outside. Yi Chen looked. Murong Qingqing pointed at a huge arena and said to Yi Chen. Yi Chen looked over. Thousands of miles away, there was an arena that spanned thousands of miles. There were many figures sitting around the arena. They were obviously dragon race demonic beasts in human form. In the arena, 2 figures were fighting fiercely. If it was a normal sparring match, Murong Qingqing and Yi Chen wouldn't be so surprised. However, these 2 seemed to have a deep grudge against each other. When they fought, they didn't show any mercy. Every move they made was a killing move. Roar. Suddenly, the 2 transformed. One turned into a flood dragon, and the other into a winged dragon. They continued fighting. Golden Armor Dragon Emperor saw that Yi Chen and the others were looking over and explained, "This is the country of dragons' life and death arena. When 2 sides have irreconcilable hatred, they can go up and fight. Of course, both sides must agree. You know that any race will have conflicts unless they don't have intelligence." Yi Chen nodded. Indeed, no matter which race it was, there would always be disharmony. Killing was the law of the universe. The strong preyed on the weak was the source of evolution. If they fight like this, won't they seek revenge when they get out? Yi Chen asked. Golden River Dragon Emperor said, "Of course, but when their strength is equal, they will choose to fight in the life and death arena. Our dragon race respects strength. If we can kill our opponent in the life and death arena, it will be a great honor." After flying for a while, the 6 of them arrived at a teleportation array. Golden Armor Dragon Emperor said, "Through the teleportation array, we can directly go to the square outside the Dragon Hall." Saying that, the teleportation array activated. In a flash of light, the 6 of them disappeared. Chapter 1178. Everything in the dragon race was big. Even after they transformed, their bodies were about the same size as humans. This view didn't change. This was a 10,000 li plaza, paved entirely with lapis lazuli. Perhaps lapis lazuli was not that precious to life and death kings, merely the most common material for refining supreme-grade low-grade artifacts. However, it was a bit frightening to see such a large area covered in lapis lazuli. The amount of lapis lazuli here was enough to refine hundreds of millions of supreme-grade low-grade artifacts. It was hard to imagine where the dragon race had gotten so much lapis lazuli. There was more than one teleportation array on the plaza. Every once in a while, there would be another teleportation array. Of course, there were also people leaving through teleportation arrays. "Let's go." Golden River Dragon Emperor and Golden Armor Dragon Emperor led the way. After passing through a 1,000-miles-long road, everyone arrived in front of a grand and majestic hall. This palace was too huge, and one couldn't even see the top. After reaching 100,000 meters, it was covered by countless clouds, and even soul power couldn't penetrate it. There were 24 of li-long dragon statues in front of the palace. One was a golden dragon, and the other was a crystal dragon. The statue's eyes seemed to be able to see through one's heart, giving off an extremely intimidating feeling. Let's go in. Golden River Dragon Emperor and Golden Armor Dragon Emperor took the lead, followed by Yi Chen's group of 4. Inside the spacious palace, there were already many people waiting. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. These people were all at the 8th layer of life and death realm. Without supremes, 8th layer life and death heavenly kings were the peak experts. Don't think that just because you have the strength of Battle Emperor, you can contend against 8th layer life and death heavenly kings. This only meant that your offense was powerful enough, barely reaching the boundary of Emperor realm. Battle Emperor and Battle Emperor were just terms. It didn't mean that they had the same battle strength. This was a condition. What condition? It was when the artifacts were the same, or when there was no artifact or external assistance. Yi Chen's artifact was Heavenly King grade, while 7th layer Emperors and 8th layer Emperors' artifacts were Emperor grade and Emperor grade. How could they compare? If an ordinary Emperor warrior had the same weapon as Yi Chen, excluding teleportation, Yi Chen could indeed contend with this ordinary Emperor warrior. The only difference was that his protective energy was much weaker, but his attack power was not that different. Unfortunately, the others were not fools. Who wouldn't use an Emperor-grade treasure? Only a fool wouldn't use it. Battle Dharch was a term for the god of war pagoda in the paradise of gods. That was because, in the god of war pagoda, the conditions were the same. The opponent would not have a more powerful artifact than you. When it came to the 7th and 8th sky, there was another saying. The 7th sky was divided into low-level Emperor, middle-level Emperor, high-level Emperor, and top-level Emperor. The 8th sky was divided into low-level Emperor, middle-level Emperor, high-level Emperor, and top-level Emperor. For example, Chen Qinghai, in Yi Chen's opinion, was at least a peak battle Emperor, but among the 8 Emperors, he was only a middle Emperor. For example, Yi Chen was a middle Emperor, but in front of a high Emperor, he was only a peak Emperor. All in all, Battle Emperors and Battle Emperors were a fair evaluation of strength. Unfortunately, the universe was not fair. No one would choose to use artifacts of the same level to fight you. Because he had the Eternal Night Emperor sword and the mixed elements single chi armor, Yi Chen didn't need to be afraid in front of the 7th layer Emperors. He was basically one of the strongest, equivalent to a 5-star general. As his strength increased, the terms Battle Emperors and Battle Emperors were no longer suitable for Yi Chen. It was better for him to stay in the paradise of gods. The way to compare strength, there was half Emperor and Battle Emperor. Haha, Golden River, Golden Armor, congratulations! Your Golden Dragon bloodline has gained another member. TSK. He already has a 4th layer cultivation base. Moreover, his Golden Dragon bloodline is even purer than the 2 of you. Your Golden Dragon bloodline has struck gold. These 8th layer life and death realm heavenly kings were all elders of the Dragon clan, and they all came forward to congratulate. Golden River Dragon Emperor and Golden Armor Dragon Emperor couldn't hide the joy on their faces as they politely said, "You're too kind. Our Golden Dragon bloodline has very few members. It's extremely difficult to raise them." These words were not completely polite. The Dragon clan had 5 great dragon bloodlines: Crystal Dragon, Golden Dragon, Silver Dragon, Bronze Dragon, and Iron Armored Dragon. Among the 5 great dragon bloodlines, Crystal Dragon and Golden Dragon bloodlines were the rarest, with less than 10 members. Crystal Dragon bloodlines were even rarer, with only 7. Silver Dragon bloodlines had more than 20, bronze dragon bloodlines had nearly 100, and iron-armored dragon bloodlines had more than 400. In terms of quality, the golden colossal dragons and crystalline colossal dragons were naturally unparalleled. Within the same realm, they could look down on other colossal dragon bloodlines. However, in terms of quantity, they could not catch up. The golden colossal dragons had 2 elders, the crystalline colossal dragons had 2 elders, the silver colossal dragons had 4 elders, and the bronze colossal dragons had 12 elders. Chen Qinghai was only one of them. The iron-armored colossal dragons had the most with nearly 20 elders. So many experts? Murong Qingqing had never seen an 8th-layer life and death realm heavenly king before. Now that she saw so many, she couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. Inferior beings always felt stifled in front of superior beings. Is this the core strength of the dragon clan? There were a lot of emperors present. Not only did they have the 5 great dragon bloodlines, but there were also sub-dragon bloodlines, such as Flood Dragon and some other elders with dragon bloodlines. Of course, there were certainly some who couldn't come due to other matters. Among the demonic beast clan, the dragon clan could be called the number 1 power for a reason. However, thinking of the demons, Yi Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly. Even the demonic beast clan and the human clan were far inferior to the demons. He really couldn't imagine how powerful the demons were. Perhaps they even had a lot of supremes. Su Jing's appearance made the other dragon bloodlines very envious. Although the Golden Dragon clan had a small population, each and every one of them could eventually grow into a powerhouse. There were more than 400 iron-armored dragon clan, but some of them didn't have much potential and would stop at the 6th layer of life and death realm for their entire lives. Iron-armored dragon geniuses like tyrannical dragon Yang Ting were few and far between. Why isn't Great Elder here yet? Perhaps he's been delayed. After waiting for a while, everyone started discussing spiritedly. The patriarch of the dragon clan was the sovereign of the dragon clan. Normally, he would not come out, so everything in the dragon clan was handed over to the great elder of the dragon clan. The great elder was the strongest among the elders of the dragon clan. He had been the great elder of the dragon clan for tens of thousands of years. He was the crystal dragon emperor of the giant crystal dragons. Buzz. Right at this moment, a tall figure appeared beside the main seat of the palace. A faint 7-colored radiance spread out like a dream. The great elder of the dragon clan, Crystal Dragon Emperor, had appeared. Chapter 1179. Head Elder. The dragon race worshipped power. Be it status or power, the Sky Crystal Dragon Emperor was worthy of everyone's respect. At this moment, even the Golden River Dragon Emperor and the Golden Armor Dragon Emperor cupped their fists to show their respect. The Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor's eyes had 7 colors, giving people an unfathomable and noble feeling. He nodded, glanced around, and finally stopped at Su Jing. Good seed. Indeed, the purest golden dragon bloodline. It was hard to fake a golden dragon bloodline, and even harder to fake a golden dragon bloodline. Su Jing was a golden dragon, and she had already received the approval of the Sky Crystal Dragon Emperor. Do you know about your childhood memories? The Sky Crystal Dragon Emperor had heard about Su Jing from the Dragon King, but he still couldn't help but ask. He really wanted to know where the missing dragon sovereign had gone. The addition of a sovereign would have a huge impact on the dragon race. No matter how many king-level warriors there were, as long as they were not sovereigns, it would be useless. Sovereigns were the most intimidating existences. After thinking about it carefully, Su Jing shook her head. She indeed did not know about the memories before she was 10 years old. What a pity! The Sky Crystal Dragon Emperor sighed. This is the Golden Dragon token of your Golden Dragon bloodline. Drop your blood and refine it. From now on, you will be a member of my dragon race. As he spoke, he took out a token that seemed to be made of gold from his storage ring. There was a lifelike golden dragon carved on it. Normally, when demonic beasts with the sub-dragon bloodline joined the dragon race, they would be given a token by the other elders in charge. However, the dragon bloodline was different. The dragon bloodline was very rare, and it had to be personally approved by the Great Elder, who would then give the token. Furthermore, the dragon token was different from the other tokens. It was a Heavenly King tier artifact, and it had a special refining method, making it impossible to forge. With the Golden Dragon token, Su Jing could be considered a true Golden Dragon of the dragon race, otherwise she would not have been approved. Thank you, Head Elder. After receiving the Golden Dragon medallion, Su Jing dripped a drop of golden blood onto it. 1. The golden dragon carving on the medallion seemed to have come to life, and it began to swim about on the medallion while a series of dragon roars rang out. In the next instant, the golden dragon medallion transformed into a streak of golden light that branded itself onto Su Jing's wrist. After bestowing the golden dragon medallion, the heavenly crystal dragon emperor smiled and said, "Golden River, golden armor, congratulations. You have one more member. Why aren't we crystal dragons so lucky?" Dragons could only give birth to one child in their lifetime, and no one knew when they would have another child. It was possible that they would not have a child until they died. This was the rule of the universe, a fate that could not be changed. For countless years, the number of crystal dragons and golden dragons had been in the single digit. It was no wonder that the crystalline dragon emperor was envious. Hee, there's no point in being envious, Golden Armored Dragon Emperor said proudly. Moving his gaze from the Golden River Dragon Emperor and the Golden Armored Dragon Emperor to Murong Qinqing, Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor couldn't help but exclaim, "Dark Witch Bloodline, how strange." What? Dark Witch Bloodline? In the hall, the elders were shocked when they heard the Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor's words. They could tell that Murong Qinqing was a demon and cultivated demonic power, but they could not tell that Murong Qinqing had the Dark Witch bloodline. One had to know that the Dark Witch bloodline was even rarer than the Golden Dragons and Crystal Dragons. It was a bloodline bestowed by the heavens, and it was basically impossible to inherit the bloodline. In the entire demons, the number of Dark Witch bloodlines and Dark Goddess bloodlines could be counted on one hand. If the Golden Dragon bloodline was the top bloodline, then the Dark Witch bloodline and Dark Goddess bloodline were the top bloodlines. Haha, if the demons knew that a Dark Witch bloodline had appeared among the demons, I wonder what expression they would have. It must be very unsightly. One of the elders among the bronze dragons laughed. An anomaly. She is definitely an anomaly. Although she is not a real Dark Witch, she is very talented. Once she grows up, she will probably be half a Dark Witch. Many elders of the Dragon Clan commented. Work hard. I want to see how strong you will be when you become a powerhouse. The Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor smiled at Murong Qinqing. Murong Qinqing replied in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, I will not disappoint you. Nodding, the Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor shifted his gaze again. Although Murong Qinqing was talented and had the Dark Witch bloodline, as long as she was not a real Dark Witch, he would only be surprised and not shocked. In comparison, the Golden Dragons were much better. Finally, his gaze fell on Yi Chen. The Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor was as curious about Yi Chen as he was about Su Jing. He was curious about Su Jing because of her origin and the missing Dragon Clan sovereign. He was curious about Yi Chen because of Yi Chen's strength. He had already learned from Chen Qinghai that Yi Chen's strength was not inferior to Shi Tao's. In fact, Shi Tao was much weaker when it came to weapons of the same grade. In addition, Yi Chen was the only 4-star purple gold rank commander of the human clan. Of course, this was only on the surface. In fact, Yi Chen's strength had surpassed 4-star purple gold rank commanders. If there was a 6-star purple gold rank commander, Yi Chen would be one. He was an incomparably dazzling genius with the potential of a sovereign. Any talent or bloodline seemed to be inferior to him. Suddenly, the Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor pointed a finger at Yi Chen. The finger, which was emitting a 7-colored luster, seemed slow but was actually fast. It rapidly bombarded towards Yi Chen and grew bigger and bigger. No one had expected that the Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor would suddenly attack. The Golden River Dragon Emperor and the Golden Armor Dragon Emperor were ready to stop it. After all, Yi Chen came with Su Jing. If he was killed, it would be hard to explain to Su Jing. Moreover, killing someone needed a reason. Just as the two of them were about to attack, the Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor's voice sounded, "I'm just testing you. Don't worry." Testing you? The Golden River Dragon Emperor and the Golden Armor Dragon Emperor did not attack in the end. The Dragon King, Su Jing, and Murong Qinqing were all shocked. However, they could not move. An invisible force had bound them. They could only watch and not move. They were extremely anxious. Only Yi Chen could see that the Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor did not have any killing intent. Of course, he wasn't sure. It was not necessary to have killing intent in order to kill someone. Sometimes, a superior would kill someone with a mere thought. There was no time to take out the Eternal Night Emperor sword. Yi Chen pulled out the Silver Serpent sword and used his most powerful momentary brilliance. Puff, puff, puff. Layers of explosions rang out. The Silver Serpent sword seemed to have broken through layers of shackles and stabbed towards the seven-colored finger. This was the pressure of the finger. Ordinary king tears would collapse under the pressure of this finger. Ding! The seven-colored finger and the tip of the sword clashed, causing brilliant sparks to burst out. However, before the sparks could disperse, they suddenly disappeared. It turned out that the Heavenly Crystal Dragon Emperor had attacked once again. This time, it was even faster and more powerful than the previous one. Even Yi Chen couldn't react in time, and could only rely on his powerful instincts. Ding! The momentary brilliance was used to the limit. It merged with the void and blocked the Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor's finger again. Good. The Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor laughed loudly and attacked a third time. Chapter 1180. The third finger of the Celestial Dragon Emperor had already exceeded the limit of Yi Chen's combat power. Unless Yi Chen replaced the Silver Snake sword with the Eternal Night Emperor sword, he would not be able to block this finger. However, there was no time to do so. Once he did, he would be hit. Although Yi Chen could see that the Celestial Dragon Emperor was testing him, he did not want to admit defeat. Without any hesitation, Yi Chen once again used his sword to meet the seven-colored finger. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. The Silver Snake sword was bent, and Yi Chen was sent flying. His right arm was numb, and he could barely hold the Silver Snake sword. Not bad, not bad. The fourth finger of the Celestial Dragon Emperor followed closely. He wanted to see how many of his fingers Yi Chen could block. With each finger, he would increase his strength until Yi Chen could no longer withstand it. The fourth exchange. The fifth exchange. The seventh exchange. Puff! Yi Chen spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was pale. He could not block it anymore. The Heavenly Crystal Dragon Emperor had a good grasp on the attacking power. It would not be too strong, but not too weak either. Each time, it would only increase by 1%. It was like adding a straw to a camel's body. If it were under a situation where he was not carrying any weight, he could still handle it. However, when he was at his limit, he felt like he had to put in 10 times the effort to block every finger attack. It was even more difficult than fighting with someone 10 times more powerful than him. The eighth exchange. The ninth exchange. Yi Chen's body began to feel weak. The finger power of the Celestial Dragon Emperor was very strange. The mixed elements Unity Chi could not block it at all. It could always easily penetrate through. Otherwise, Yi Chen would not be so embarrassed. The 10th finger. The 10th finger of the Celestial Dragon Emperor quickly attacked. Distance was completely meaningless in front of him. Even though Yi Chen had retreated to the entrance of the hall, he could not dodge. I have to block it even if I can't. Yi Chen would not dodge, nor would he retreat. In his eyes, this was a battle without any killing intent. If he could not block it with his current strength, then he would make another breakthrough. Roar. As soon as he swung his sword, the humming of the sword filled the air. The pressure from the seven-colored finger was slightly reduced. With a puff, the seven-colored finger and the tip of the sword collided. In the next moment, Yi Chen was forced to take 3 steps back. It didn't seem to be very difficult. At least, it was much easier than blocking the third finger. The Heaven Crystal Dragon Emperor stopped attacking. A trace of surprise appeared on his face as he said, as expected of a peerless genius. He actually managed to raise his sword domain from the middle stage of the 5th layer to the peak of the 5th layer despite the boundless pressure. It turned out that Yi Chen had used the pressure brought by the Heavenly Crystal Dragon Emperor to temper his comprehension of the sword Tao that he had yet to digest while exploring the sword world. His sword domain had improved further, rising from the mid-stage of the 5th level to the peak of the 5th level. There was still the late stage of the 5th level in between. The improvement of his sword domain allowed Yi Chen's control over his surroundings to increase greatly, and it indirectly increased his offensive strength. Otherwise, he would have definitely been blasted out of the hall. This is all thanks to Great Elder. Yi Chen cupped his fists and said. The Heaven Crystal Dragon Emperor smiled bitterly. I didn't mean to help you break through. I was just testing you. What a genius. He actually used the Great Elder's pressure to break through. Although the physique and talent of the human race is much weaker than our dragon race, they are the ones who create the most miracles. Otherwise, our demon race wouldn't be willing to be the human race's lackeys. The geniuses of the human race are like the stars in the sky. Our demon race can never compare. In the hall, all the dragon race elders exclaimed in admiration. The human race was a complicated race. They were the weakest, but they were also the strongest. The demon race was so powerful that they were justifiably the strongest race in the universe. Even powerful races like the Yiksha race and the evil spirit race did not dare to compete with them. They were willing to be second or third in rank. However, in countless battles, although the human race had been defeated again and again, they had never been completely defeated. That was because they would always produce amazing and peerless experts at critical moments. There were even times in the past when the demon race had suffered great losses and the human race had gained a lot of the upper hand. If the demons were the number 1 race in the universe, then the human race was the race that created the most miracles in the universe. Of course, they were also the most complicated race. The strength that Yi Chen displayed was still far from the Supreme Being level, but at least he had the potential of a Supreme Being. This made many dragon race elders extremely envious. The invisible force that bound the Dragon King, Su Jing, and Murong Qingqing dissipated. The 3 heaved a sigh of relief. It turned out that it was just a test. They had been too paranoid. As a member of the dragon race, you can choose a place in the country of dragons that is no larger than 1,000,000 miles as your territory. Without your permission, no one else can set foot there. The Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor said to the Golden River Dragon Emperor and the Golden Armor Dragon Emperor, "You two help me with the matter of choosing a territory. You are dismissed." After saying that, the Celestial Crystal Dragon Emperor's figure flashed and disappeared from the hall. The Golden Armor Dragon Emperor smiled at Su Jing and said, "Choosing a territory is very simple. I have the star shrinking device of the Azure Dragon planet. You can choose anyone. Those marked in red are owned. The rest are ownerless." Every planet with life had a star shrinking device, and the Azure Dragon planet was no exception. "Okay, let me take a look." After a while, Su Jing said, "This one. This place is not bad. It has everything, including a big lake." The Golden Armor Dragon Emperor nodded. After leaving the hall, several figures suddenly came up to them. "Is this the new big sister? I'm Xiao Jin, also a golden dragon." The one who spoke was a child about 7 or 8 years old. He raised his head and looked at Su Jing curiously with his golden eyes. Su Jing patted his little face and picked him up. Xiao Jin, bring big sister Su and her friend to this place. You should know the way, right? The golden armored dragon emperor showed the marked location on the star shrinking device to Xiao Jin. I do. Come, I'll bring you there. Xiao Jin jumped down from Su Jing's back. Roar. A dragon's roar sounded, and golden light shone everywhere. Xiao Jin turned into a golden dragon that was more than 10 miles long. Go on. Xiao Jin will bring you to the destination. The 4 people from the Golden Armor Dragon Dynasty said. When the 4 of them stood on Xiao Jin's back, Xiao Jin soared into the sky and flew into the distance. You'll be living here from now on. There's still a lot of time before the divine trial field opens, enough for you to learn the sacred dragon fist to rank 5. Yi Chen said to Su Jing, who was beside him, as astral winds blew against their faces. I can't compare to little sister Jing. I don't know if I can make it to the top 10 of the Heavenly King list next year. Murong Qingqing wasn't very confident in herself. There were too many geniuses in the 4 major galaxies, and there were also other geniuses from Elysium, such as Duguju. Su Jing said, I'll help you ask if the dragon race has any high-level demons martial arts. If there are, I'll help you get some. Demons were proficient in the Profound of Darkness, and the demons' martial arts were mainly based on the Profound of Darkness. Using magic power to perform the martial arts of the demons could stimulate the power to the limit. A complete martial art of the demons could at least give Murong Qingqing some inspiration.